We have no sound.
I'm sorry, I didn't select the sound part. We'll have to redo our disclaimer here. Sorry about that.
Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GANs processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
From the beginning of time, humans have always looked towards the sky for inspiration and guidance. There has been a fascination with birds, stars, gods, goddesses, and other entities which seem to exist above us, and for many humans, a strong yearning to travel into space. Man has dreamt of flight since observing space, and now it is time to become the space traveller. The future of space travel requires us to understand from where we came, to see where we are going.
Several thousand years ago, philosophers Mozi and Lu Ban from China were looking to the wind for flight. They invented kites using silk and bamboo, allowing for the later development of communication, measuring distances, testing the wind, and lifting men.
The invention of the kite brought with it the desire to fly. The first known attempts at flight were typically by leaping off towers, known as tower jumping. People in China, India, and Europe first attempted flight this way.
In 1670, Francesco Lana de Tarzi published a book that showed some interesting concepts. The concept of copper foil in a sphere with a vacuum would produce a vacuum airship. This is still not possible with today's materials. Francesco is recognized as the father of aeronautics, melding science and mathematics into aerial navigation.
The Chinese are believed to have developed the first hot air device. The Chinese lantern, using hot air from a candle, can take flight and was first used for signalling. The hot air balloon achieved the first human lift and advanced to what we know of as the Zeppelin.
The first attempts at flight in a heavier-than-air flying machine were made by more than just the Wright brothers. Most attempts failed, however, they were the stepping stones for what was to come later. The oldest airport, College Park, is still in operation today.
Airplanes evolved rapidly through the century, from propeller to helicopter to jet aircraft, and most of that technology is used today.
During the Second World War, Germany developed rockets that could go a limited distance. The basic rocket technology used then is still used today. The space race started with the Soviet Union and the USA in 1957 and led to many developments, for the next step, the moon.
The spacecraft assigned as Apollo 11 was the first spacecraft to have landed on the moon. The space shuttle operated at tremendous cost. Burning the fuel proved to be wasteful and dangerous technology. The International Space Station, ISS, is a habitable artificial satellite that was assembled in low Earth orbit in 1998 with the use of the space shuttle. The ISS can often be seen with the naked eye from Earth.
SpaceX, as a private aerospace producer and space transportation services company, was founded in 2002 by Elon Musk with the goal of reducing space transportation costs and enabling the colonization of Mars. SpaceX reuses the first stage of their primary rocket, Falcon 9, by vertical propulsive landings. Although, up to present time, it still uses the rocket fuel burning technology. Mehran Keshe has always said, the time for burning fuels is over, but did we need to start with that technology in the first place?
Ancient cultures have suggested the use of an alternative means of transportation. With reference to possible plasma technology,
you can go to New York from Brussels within 2 to 5 minutes. And most of this 5 minutes is actually landing and getting up.
Mehran Tavakoli Keshe was born in Iran in 1958. As the son of an X-ray engineer, he was introduced to the world of radiation and nuclear science at a very young age. In 1981, he graduated from Queen Mary, the University of London, as a nuclear engineer specialized in reactor technology system control. At that time, he developed a number of theoretical ideas related to more simple nuclear concepts and their applications. In 2002, he decided to finish the full design of his ideas about nuclear technology. This included the creation and control of gravity and energy by the use of nuclear materials in a clean and safe hydrogen reactor. Mehran Keshe introduced the concept of double magnetic fields to explain the magnetic and gravitational field of Earth.
Unknown by the existing scientific community, he wrote a number of scientific papers in 2004 and sent them for peer review, such as the creation of black holes. When one of the persons performing the peer review used his information in public, he decided to draw back his papers and to concentrate further on building prototypes.
Since the beginning of 2006, several prototypes of dynamic reactors have been built, some specifically designed to create hovering effects, similar to effects seen with magnetic levitation. Basic hovering effects have been achieved. 2007 brought the first flight test with radioactive material, in which the patents describe the process of the field interactions.
The main patent, Gravitational and Energy System, described the initial fundamental aspects of the plasma and uses. This was followed by the supplemental patent, Microplasma Reactors, where further uses and advancements were described. Mr. Keshe found himself in Iran in 2008 and was provided all the resources needed to create the first lift of a plasma reactor managed by the Iranian government. These special rotating gas reactors were used to control the plasma. To bring a deeper understanding, Mr. Keshe released the first book in 2009, The Universal Order of Creation of Matters, which contained many new concepts released to the public. This included the PMTIC plasma magnetic fields, initial fundamental plasma and plasma dilution technology used for space reactors. The plasma technology was further developed and it manifested in weight fluctuation in a controlled environment. 2010 introduced a new state of matter called GANS, an acronym for gas in nanosolid state. The GANS produces fields to be used in the operation of the spaceship. Advanced flight tests were performed in Iran with the guidance of Mr. Keshe and the newly designed systems.
Mr. Keshe tells us you can't bring all the doctors with you in space. Medical research advanced in 2010 and is still being explored daily all around the world. The Keshe Foundation has provided knowledge for dealing with many medical conditions in space.
A great example of plasma technology used for peaceful process is the capturing of the USA drone over Iran in December 2011. This drone was touted as one of the most advanced drones of its day and was caught by Iran using plasma to disrupt the communications. Plasma absorbs fields, and the drone uses radio fields for piloting, a natural aspect of the plasma, a barrier of fields.
Book 2, The Structure of the Light, was released in 2011. This book brought forward the understanding of the structure of light as a cylindrical plasma where the light is in possession of all magnetic field strengths. Book 3, The Origin of the Universe, was published later in 2011. Mr. Keshe explained the further operation and interaction of different strengths of the same fields, which then leads to the creation of the universe. These 3 books bring forward a much deeper understanding of the plasma science that is applied worldwide by knowledge seekers and scientists in spaceship research and development.
There were 2 conferences to release the space technology to governments in 2012. The first international presentation in April, Keshe Foundation invited representatives of every country to the first presentation of the plasma technology. The second international presentation in September, Keshe Foundation invited the nations of the world through their ambassadors and their leaders to attend a gathering at the Keshe Foundation Center in Nenove, Belgium.
Space travel requires peace. The implementation of the plasma technology brings greater responsibility. In 2013, Mr. Keshe brought forward the World Peace Treaty. Signing of the Peace Treaty is a confirmation from yourself to your soul to act correctly in a peaceful manner.
In 2014, knowledge seekers came together from around the world to learn from Mr. Keshe, and many different experiments with reactors were performed, including improving the previously developed reactors to fit with the new knowledge, introduction of nano-coated reactors, multi-core GaN systems. The Spaceship Institute lab experiments were streamed live on the internet for all to see. SSI lab tests with reactors showed strong magnetic field pulses up to 129 Tesla and showed significant weight fluctuations. In December, an experiment was performed using reactors built by knowledge seekers from around the world. Italy, Germany, and Canada were involved in field communication tests. The tests showed that fields can interact with each other no matter the distance or time, resulting in instant communication.
In 2015, developments for space continued with different aspects of the plasma technology, such as in health, energy, and decontamination. In October of 2015, Mr. Keshe taught a popular week-long course called the Blueprint Teachings about how to build the MAGRAV power units. People from all over the world participated with building their own MAGRAV units and teaching others. With the demand of the Keshe Foundation products from all over the world, a new research center and manufacturing opened in Arizona, USA. Many developments of the technology happened in different parts of the world, and Keshe Foundation USA is no exception. John and the team started performing experiments using different sensing tools. These tools allowed the team to visualize the MAGRAV fields and to show others their interactions. With reactor formations showing positive results, partaking in the knowledge together is easier and more joyful than ever. The fun has just begun, says MT Keshe.
Mr. Keshe publicly teaches the space technology through the weekly Knowledge Seekers workshops. Plasma enthusiasts from around the world participate in gathering the knowledge and putting the puzzle together in the space race. All people, irrespective of race, nation or religion, are invited to participate in the exchange of knowledge, thus assisting humanity to live within the ethos of the universe. It is recognized that international cooperation and peace is a prerequisite for mankind to journey into deep space. Individuals and nations are invited to come together in the spirit of collaboration and unity to enable peaceful application and the use of plasma technology for space travel, food, agriculture, energy, transportation, health and more. We are excited to release the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Blueprint to humanity.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 554th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 5th, 2024. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the Public Teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond, and I welcome you and Mr. Keshe as our presenter today, as usual in these Knowledge Seekers workshops. This one's starting a little bit later than usual, but otherwise, I think we are ready to go here. Is that true, Mr. Keshe?
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Foundation and Spaceship Institute. We are back here to learn a little bit more, to teach a little bit more, to share the knowledge of creation. Something which is very important, and as we said, what you don't find in macro, you find in micro, and what you don't find in micro, you find in macro. Nothing in the world of creation is different than what we see. Is simplicity of two things, two magnetic fields. They interact and push each other away. They interact and they come together. And it's only two fields. There's nothing else. If there is one, we don't know if it is interacting, if it is coming or going. So everything in the world of creation works on these two. And the combination of how they withhold, or a combination of what they hold in. And somewhere in between, they accommodate each other to hold in and to withhold. And this gives the whole structure of the universe. There is no other way in the universe that the magnetic fields interaction work any different. Example of this, to withhold and to hold in, and something in between that the two manage to space gap each other, accommodating each other. The skin of the man is the best example of it. You have an outer skin, which withholds anything to come in, does not allow. Then you have an inner skin, which holds everything in, which is the structure of the body of the man and what's inside it. And you have a layer in between, we will call middle layer, which accommodates to understand what's happening outside, to understand what's happening inside, and somewhere in between, whatever doesn't fit, I hold. What is outside is cold. What is inside is warm. The emotion, the feeling, would like to feel warm. I need warmth from outside to accommodate the wish of the inside. There is a need for heating, there is nothing for warmth. I don't like the touch. I want to withhold that touch. I move my hand away from you because the emotion of the inner side has to be accepted by both. The other dimension of this is you have the skin of the man. The outer bound, the physicality of the man is that outer side. Then you have what we call the solar physicality, interaction of all the fields within the structure, the middle layer. And the inner layer, which is the soul of the man, the energy center of the man, which holds what's inside the creator. How we feel, how we react, how we interact in the dimension of physicality, the inner side, as we always said, the creator is within us. This is what we protect, not to damage, to carry out his wishes. Then you see there is no difference between the structure of the skin of the man with the evolution of the science of inner man's structure creation. And this applies to every dimension. If we understand this, if we develop the science of the knowledge of the interaction of the fields, this brings us to a new way of thinking, new way of adapting ourselves, that we understand the knowledge of the creation does not matter where we are on Earth, in deep space, in a galaxy, in another universe dimension. So we understand all the science, what we have in a way denied ourselves, and we have covered it on every aspects of the ignorance of the knowledge of creation, has been our fault. In a way, our scientists all have been physical scientists. They dealt with the physicality. And those who came to introduce us to the dimension of inner side were abused and became abusers of the same knowledge. But in a space, you are the creator of yourself. In a space, you are the prophet of yourself. In a space, you are the manifestation of yourself. When you transmute from Earth to another position in the universe, is you, the interaction of the fields of the structure of inside, which is the plasma of the energy of your, whatever you call it, soul, is in interaction with this environment, decides what you create to manifest yourself as. And then how you behave in that dimension as a predator, a lover, a coexister, a being of peace. All, it's your intuition. All, it's your decision. It's what you expect it to be. How we feel at the point of manifestation is how we perceive our existence in that environment. At the same time, we have to understand, if we use this energy in a peaceful manner, understand that it does not matter where we manifest ourselves in the dimension of physicality of time, space, and position, then this gives you a new dimension of existence. In the September trial of the Keshe Foundation on Friday, the 20th, will bring you to a totally new dimension. It's for you to decide. This has never been done. The group last session in what we call August, went to a transformation, those who understood and connected to, in a physical dimension. In the session of September, we bring you in a dimension which considers all three layers, with the exception that we, as the Keshe Foundation, control the environment of manifestation. We allow the expansion of the inner soul, the expansion of inner energy. And with the systems we set up, we control it. This session of September is us being in that middle layer. Is us deciding how collectively you as knowledge seekers manifest yourself. In a way, we take you on a bus journey and we take you to a sightseeing position, and we want all of you to see that statue. That's why you've been brought here. In a way, in transmutation, you learn how to control, and we learn with you how you learn from yourself. What does this mean? This means the systems in the coming session on Friday will bring every single one of you to one position we decide, not you. We are the emotion within the middle layer. We decide on your inner strength, and we decide on the manifestation of strength. Would it be if we ask one of you to manifest yourself in a dimensional position on the moon? How would you manifest? Would the others in your team will see you as the manifestation of what you want to manifest yourself at? Sorry, dogs cannot exist on the moon. There is no energy, there is no air to breathe. We'll bring you to a point to see each other in that point and position. Don't forget, you travel to the depth of space and you're all going to see a mountain range together. How do you travel to? You're all within the structure of this planet. We give you what we call the chance of transmutation, but we dictate what we want you to see. But through the emotion of the system, through manifestation of the word and the space and time. In the Friday session of this month, you'll be given pictures of certain points in the universe. And you're expected to manifest yourself in that time and place and position as a collective team. You had enough experiences of going, trusting, accepting. This session of September is us being that middle layer. It's you inside an emotion, a new manifestation of physicality as a group, as a team. You had 2 or 3 sessions with each other. You are familiar who's in your team. You have never met before. But at a point of manifestation, the way we set our system up, we control you. In a way, we are that reduction in the strength of the fields of the blood, which allows the soul to travel, to manifest yourself in time and position. But this time, before you go to sleep, we tell all of you, we meet at such a point, such a destination, and we want to know if you can arrive. The instruction doesn't come by words alone. The instruction comes with the love of the Creator. It comes by the presence of enjoying to be, to see collectively. And how many of you will you see each other? Because we control that central emotion. The system of flight through transmutation is on the verge of its total completion within the next 2 months. We have till March to complete it, that collectively it can be shown in Washington. The whole purpose of understanding this is to understand another step in your own physical life. You're asleep. You are in the state of expansion of the soul, dreaming about whatever. And there is a noise in the physical side of your body. A dog barks. Something falls on the floor. Somebody calls you. Now you understand. You're that caller. But this time, you know where you are. You control with the dimension of the fields. The outside call tells you where to go, how to do, and how to manifest yourself in that time or position. You all know this, or you most probably has experienced this. Most of you who go through 2 phases of resting during the night, you have 2 different dreams. What's the reason? And if you understand that reason, you understand the next step, why you as knowledge seekers are finding how to transmute. Let me explain it in a very simple system, in a very simple way, and then you find out, most of you, where you have failed to complete a transmutation. If you look at the structure of the body of the man in his brain, and this is your 2 ears, understanding the cycle of sleep of the man, that during the sleep, one side or the other rests. The interesting point is that when you go through the dimension of what we call transmutation, or the dimension of your sleep that you call it a dream, one of these sessions is weaker because it's on the repair, low level. High level can create a lot of problem. And the other side, part 2, is in a full active mode. So when you dream, you're actually traveling with the half of the brain. The other half is holding you back. That's why when the cat meows and the dog barks, you wake up. Because this chap is fully active. It's part of the protection we have created. Those of you who want to go through the transmutation, you have to make it both. That there is no physical attachment to bring you back. And this is why most of you have failed to complete a full transmutation. Because you stay always alert. The other half too is still on duty. And this is why most of you cannot transmute. This is why you still hear the cough of the guy who's in your team. That's why you get disturbed by it. And when you collectively, all number of you, manage to reach that point, we see a flatter spike. Because when we see, we've shown you this, if this is the central line of the graph, your soul stays close to it and flat. But what we see, you've seen before, we have shown you, we see this thing from you on a dimension of the physicality. When we run our reactors, when we run our flight system, when we are within the space of the plasma of the reactor, this is the characteristics we see. Flat line means total plasma cognition, means we are inside the solar structure. And as shown you before, we see the physicality jumping like mad in every dimension and position possible, as you see on the green line. And when it settles and becomes near enough, which means you're on the flight tape, you are on transmutation, which means the soul of the physicality and the physicality of the man and the soul of the man are all gone. Because it's flat, we are there, we can't do anything. You are not with us. You have bypassed the boundary of the physicality of your structure. Then at that point, we know we can tell you where to go through the soul of emotion. Then you understand why we use these graphs, why we operate with these things so closely, because we understand what it means to us. Not a flat green line which we've shown you, which is the dimension of interaction of the soul. It means you're already out. Why do we see the yellow line and the purple line fluctuating everywhere and sometimes then becoming to a very, very straight line, two of them parallel to each other? When we get this in the plasma condition, you mean you are not within the structure of the. This is the time when you can actually cut the position, increase the dimension of the soul of physicality into the dimension of the soul, and manifest yourself anywhere in the universe. When you look at the graph lines, because we start showing you these graph lines quite clearly in the past few sessions, is that when we see the change of the, what I call here, I use the brown line on the top. This is your soul still in control. When we see both on the same line, but the gray jumps up, means you're ready to manifest yourself in the position where you are. A lot of you, when you go through this session of transmission, you expect to find yourself in another position. I went there, blah, blah, blah. Don't go too far. When you start learning, do you try to do a marathon from the beginning to the end? No, you do 1 kilometer running, then you do 2 kilometers running. You build the stamina, you build the trust my physicality can take. Try to move from one chair to another. Try to move from one side of the room to another. Try to manifest yourself from one room in another. And then go for the long trips. You need to practice. And some of you knowledge seekers do. In the coming session of the September 20th, write down all your illnesses. Write down all your fears. Write down all your addictions. Write down all your joys. Write down all your pleasures. Write down exactly what makes you tied up to this planet, that you're aware of it. And then come into the session. Mid-session, we stop the session and you go back and look at your list. Which one of them have you ticked? Yes, yes, yes. Which one of them have you ticked? No, no, no. Move to the other chair in the room and try to move back on the first chair to see if you manage to satisfy. You arrived, what was your wish? Now physically. Try to get physically that wish back to where it started. we control. We are the middle layer. Training you to transmute. Even up to now, you thought you transmuted. It was very easy, but you have to build it up. The trust in you that I can manifest myself from chair to chair. Write down all your illnesses. And after the session, check on them. Diabetic, dementia, pain in the arm, whatever. And monitor for 7 days. All your fears, monitor for 7 days. And then you understand the purpose of transmutation in a dimension of physicality of the mind. How much of your fears changes? How much of your physical problem changes? How much the pleasures you enjoy increases? Because the session of September, it's a next step in the dimension of increasing the trust in you with yourself. We are that middle layer to accommodate. In our systems, we accommodate that part. But gradually you learn. If you do this with sincerity, if you do this with the trust in yourself, you achieve it. If you remember, there is a video somewhere when we run these sessions in Austria, in Linz. We had a couple. One of them literally went from one system to one across the room because it was the room I didn't have to go anywhere. And the couple felt and sat next to each other, with each other. That was because the other one who was scared didn't have to go anywhere, was in the room where they both felt safe. If you're a couple, try to see if you can feel each other, presence of each other, holding each other in transmutation time. This is the way the structure works. The way, as I said before, how you change things for yourself and not for us. This is the way, if you understood the totality, how the universe works. Man needs to become that universal entity. In the condition of the physicality, you have your 3 layers of skin, your outer skin, your middle skin, and you have your inner. Where inner is the representative of what inside needs. Outer is representative of what outside needs you to be part of us in your middle layer. In the dimension of man in transmutation, the physicality of the man sits here. The physicality of the soul of the man and the soul of the man. And inside is the Creator. As long as you live and work as you do today, in this layer, you live a physical life. When you understand the emotion of the creation, reason for man's being, you'll sit on this end. You'll understand how your emotion affects your physical existence, solar physicality. And when you understand how you convey and understand the world of creation of yourself, you come to this dimension. So you can travel from there to there directly. the inner circle, the inner ring, the inner part is the soul of the creation. But here is the soul of the man, the existence of physicality. There is no need for prophets because you're responsible for your own, has no what we call prophecy in it. The most important part in the whole lot is this section. If we can create that trust, if we can create that position in the sessions of the coming up, you learn more or less how to get in touch. And then, in the dimension of position and time, create that connection between the three. Now you understand why we created these sessions, why we brought this into this point. What is the purpose of the soul if it's just in there? It has to protect something. It has to be connected to something. And that connection, that what it protects in its totality, in essence, is the essence of the creation of the Creator, which is within it. And once you get to this, once you understand this, you can manifest yourself anywhere in the universe, at any point and place and position, because you'll be dealing with the center. As the Creator manifests itself in any position that exists, all position and dimensions. I made man in the image of myself because I am within the man itself. The fear of physicality we want to hang on to has kept us to this point we are today. With all the killing, with all the wars, with all the things we do, animosities and everything else, because we are not aware of this, what is inside us. We are always told this is a dream. And I showed you in the other picture how this is you, how this is the beginning, this is how you dictate the time, place, and position. Your dimension of existence, in the dimension of physicality, has been the barrier for man to understand he does not need jumbo jets, man does not need the rocket, the space technology, man doesn't need the rest of what is created in the dimension of physicality, because unfortunately you cannot bullet your physicality inside you to your soul. You have to understand it, you have to comprehend it. And then you have to understand what I told you from the beginning of the time of teaching, which has been, and if you understood it, as I said to you, the emotion, the soul of physicality. The soul, the emotion, what's within the soul is the same what is in with the dimension of physicality. And if you learn how to cross this two, you learn how to go from to. In the dimension of physicality, you get on a donkey. In the dimension of the energy, what you call the soul, you have the transportation, which is already laid out across the universe. You just need to jump on the track of it. And then you understand the true Roman saying, all the roads end up in Rome. All the roads of the creation ends up with the Creator, if you understand this principle of creation. You travel in the dimension of the jets in your physicality. You travel on the dimension of field of the universe, universal fields, to get to the point of destination, even the Creator. Depends if you find out the strength, which is within all of us, to connect to the dimension of the creation. And this is what I always said, emotion in the dimension of the soul and the emotion dimension of physicality is the same. And if you recognize this, you have access to the soul of physicality. And then you control it where you want. This is part of the work of what we call September session. I think by the time you come out of the September session, many of you need a lot of rest and a lot of understanding, a lot of comprehension, what happened to you in that 2 hours in that session. What you did to yourself and what you learn from your own doing is the purpose of September. If through the strength of the fields of our system, through what we control, we manage to diminish this in a way there is no separation between the soul of physicality, which is inside between the physicality of the man and the soul of this for you to achieve is too soon. Maybe in what we call January, February, in 2 or 3 more sessions, we bring you this to understand in a way that the soul of the physicality and the soul of the man, and understanding of the totality is a common denominator between the two. Then you can exist both in the dimension of physicality and energy, and then you understand this become a new way for man to exist, because the next barrier for man to understand is this barrier, which is condition of what we call the connection to the Creator. To understand the world of creation, when you understand the world of creation in its true way, not the human way of God knows whatever we've been taught, then you become part of that universal community of your own universal understanding, the totality. And we cannot come into March and say, now we want to transmute. We have to train you in the next few months. Then you do the transmutation. As the song says, meet at the same time, same place. In the coming time, and in the following teachings to come in the next few weeks and months, we'll try to bring you to understand this. We bring sessions in, that in the sessions, you all go through the transmutation process, but which one of you will see manifest themselves are back? If you understood this, if you comprehend what was taught today in the very simple way that you understand it, then you understand every single one of you has the capability, has the understanding to be aware of what's going on in your environment of physicality and then in the environment of the universe. And then the new process of the journey for man starts. There is no difference in all levels of the creation except the field strength. And the more strength you gather, the deeper, the stronger, the closer you can become to understand the process of the creation of the universe. And if you carry the ethos of Mitra, you can never fail. Think good, which that thing is your emotion. Then you do good, which means your manifestation, point of arrival, there is no harm done. You find peace within yourself, within your environment, and with the structure you manifest yourself in. Does not matter who's there. And then, as you feel safe, then you manifest yourself. You act good because you don't do anything to harm the other. And you find out it's easy to come back, easy to transmute. In the session in November, we show you systems are physically connected. You still have the physical connection of the systems which have emotion. And then in Bart, you'll learn about the systems which have total energy and no dimension of physicality. Understand the teaching of today, please, fully, because we are preparing you, especially those of you who attend the sessions, for the full transmutation, where you are in charge and we recreate the dimension of the process. We go for a break and we come back, and if there are any questions, try to answer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. Let me reshare here. Okay, we'll take about a 5-minute break here and be back for the second half of our show. And we have the opportunity to ask questions of Mr. Keshe. And I'll remind our attendees that you'll be able to raise your virtual hand and we can open your microphone if you'd like to ask a question directly. Otherwise, questions can be also posted in the Q&A and chats that we have. Okay, let's have a short break and be back.
Water is the foundation of our life. It is part of every living creature. Pure water gives you the energy of nature. Now you can have this energy in your home. The Keshe Foundation Alkalizer and Energizer is designed for your daily well-being. It increases the pH of the water so your body can absorb more oxygen and stay in its natural condition during the day. Keshe Foundation Alkalizer and Energizer. Be pure like the water.
Okay, back again at the 554th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 5th, 2024. And we're at the second half of our show here. And again, as I mentioned, we have the questions for Mr. Keshe, but we always have a few things that Mr. Keshe would like to talk about first or show. I know you wanted Mr. Keshe to show the addresses for some of the shops.
Yes, these are the shops which are now selling the Keshe Foundation products in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And if any of you would like to follow up with this, you're quite welcome to negotiate with the Keshe Foundation team on exclusivity of the Keshe products. And as we add new products in coming time with our cooperation with China, that will be added to a number of things as they grow. These are physical shops. You can physically go to them and pick up your stuff or buy stuff or link to them for different activities of the Keshe Foundation to do. And they have access to all the possibilities. You can buy the different policies which Keshe Foundation has and the rest of it. There's something I just received a message from the Keshe Foundation political team. For a long time, we did not have the stock of pillows in our warehouse in Linz in Austria. All three types of pillows which were were not there for some time are back on sale. All the three sizes, and again, it's a limited stock. And once this depletes, that'll be the end of this range of products with the pillows for different sizes. Just those of you who had to join us for the September session, please complete here in the next week or so that we can allocate, and then we can structure which group will set up. We will probably add additional group into this, which will be the Chinese group. And those who are in China can go to the new director of the Keshe Foundation, Chao, and organize your sessions. There'll be one specific session for the Chinese community, because some of the Chinese have a problem with the Zoom. We'll operate that through the Chinese WeChat system for them to be able to join the transmutation setups. The same goes for what we call Middle East and Iran. You still go through the Iranian channel to Yusuf, and we organize one session for the Iranians if they want to get from Iran. This allows us to be able to do a much easier job right across. You who had joined and came through the Keshe Foundation process with Dr. Kern and the others on the wellness side, you might or new sessions depending on Dr. Kern's decision on how we do to upgrade and put you through sessions with a new system which is coming into operation. It's the advancement in technology, and Dr. Kern will call you or will contact with you to join new sessions for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 6 weeks again, to bring you more improvement to what you agreed on when you went through before, for whatever condition it was. We'll wait and see if and how we structure our what we call the work in Iran for the conference. And we are still waiting for authorization from Iranian government officials. They keep on telling us next week, and now hopefully next week we'll receive it. And then once we receive that authorization, we can take steps for the Iranian conference and presentation. If there are any questions, we try to address.
Okay, thank you. In regards to store products, there was a question in their webinar chat here from George, who asks in his second question, he wants to know if people with metal implants could use the Twinity products and if they could be processed in the German Austrian health centers.
The wellness center in Germany handles, and you can do that directly through Dr. Kern. Austria is not available anymore. The only wellness center which we keep running will be in Germany. And you have to go to Dr. Kern, and depends where it is and what part it is and how the system will react.
So would that be through the email we see on the screen for the German community?
No. That is a shop. That's a retail shop in Germany. You go to
okay. Sorry.
for the usual, what do you call it? The wellness center in Germany is different. Or if you go to info@keshe.foundation, they put you through or they transfer your email to the wellness center in Germany. Then they look after everything else. And in the coming time, those Dr. Kern and what you call the wellness side, they have started a new trial. Some of you already know regarding they are looking at cancer conditions and the rest. That avenue they've opened with the new research and development. But you have to speak with them, and this is testing the new dimensions in the work of what they do with their system. They look at all the cancer cases possible. Any other question?
Okay. We have a question from Filippo in our YouTube who says, hello, Mr. Keshe. Last week you gave us some hints how to create plasma water using the MagRav unit. For those who don't have a MagRav unit, can they use a pain pen instead? Thank you.
No. Pain pens are totally different thing than the MagRav system.
Okay. Then there was another question that came up in our plasma group, or a suggestion from Mark in particular, that can we consider ourselves as a MagRav and spin the GANS water above ourselves or in a circular motion? Does that count, or is it only those that have a MagRav that can do that experiment?
The MagRav is a totally different thing. MagRav is totally different. You have to understand. MagRav by structure inherently creates a different field dimension. They create a very much diversity in totality of the fields which they create. Cannot be repeated in a dynamic system. It's a stable system, is a continuous contained system. And cannot be replicated. It's a very special, if we learn about the MagRavs completely, the way they were set up to be, you'll understand the position and condition they create. Any other question?
I see Mark put the other email address, the office at de.keshe kfwellness.center. Was that other email address
Yes,
that we
that
were
goes
looking for, I
directly
believe?
to the Wellness Center in Germany.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Mark, for that.
As I said, they're working on all cancer cases for the new structure which is set up for them. Any?
Okay, we have a hand up here with Dimitri. Please go ahead, Dimitri.
Can you hear me okay?
Bit of an echo, but it's good. Okay, you might turn down your volume in the background. It might help a bit.
I've got headphones on. It's just the room I'm in. I don't get the best reception. Sorry.
No problem. Go ahead.
Thank you, Rick. Mr. Keshe, when the request was given to the universe for the necessary field streams to manifest our sun, the request was put out by the soul of the universe, the collective soul of the universe, or another soul and or group of souls. Thank you.
Never request goes anywhere. It's not the request time we receive it. It's not a post box. It's the position, the system, or the seed has been destined to manifest itself as a balanced field strength.
So it's literally.
This is a random position, random structure.
Oh, okay.
You see, the whole thing is not that. I've got to rephrase it, and it's much easier to understand. It's like you manufacture a car, ready to go. So who wants it? Where do you want to take it? But this time, who wants it? Where do you want to take it? But the design of the car is already destined where it's going to go and who it's going to get. And this is a very interesting way if you can understand it. If knowledge seekers can repeat it, you put a series of magnets balls on a table, and chop or take a very tiny spherical magnet and hold it a distance, let's say 0.5 meter or meter, away from the table of magnets, all magnets on the table, and release it. And you see if the small ball repetitively end up in the same or near in the same area. And this is a very nice experience to do. Because it shows you're that little magnet, and a condition of the structure of universe decides where you fit in. Which universal gravity pulls you to because it matches with yours, and then where does it accommodate you? And look at those balls on the table as a galaxy. And inside these galaxies are all particles, which each one is a solar system. And then if you can open up particle inside and make it to a dust and repeat again with the same magnet, small magnet, and see which part this magnet gets attracted to. It's not that the whole magnets in that ball connect with the tiny magnets which you release. It's a specific one because the strength is equal to attracts it. That's why it goes to that.
So because of the manifest, the manifestation of our sun, it's a result of the cumulative field strengths of the universe interacting, and that's just one of the outputs of it.
Yeah. Is that field
Okay.
the strength of where it came, created, fits to, and it comes together. We produce, sometimes I write to our knowledge seekers and teams we work with. I write to them and say, what do you do here? It takes maybe 1 billion, 10 billion years for the universe to create the condition you do within a few minutes because you have the knowledge of. The teaching over past years has made this possible. A lot of things your knowledge seekers talk about or do, and to you is just, walk down the park. It takes billions of years for universe to create. Without this seed of the soul, it's more or less impossibilities to meet, to create. A field has to interact with another field. That is interaction will create a minute magnetic field environment. That minute magnetic field environment grows, and there are other fields of the same strength connected to that gather and then gather and gather. That makes the sun. We haven't been educated with the true process of the creation of the universe. You talk about the sun as it's there, so it's like a piece of cake. It just came out of the oven and it's there. For the sun to be what it is today has taken billions of years, step at a time, little by little, little by little, little by little. And then the process of creation has come. I explained this too before, maybe you understand it. To create a process of, let's say, living in the body of them, in what do you call it, a fetus.
Yeah.
The brain, the body of, or what they call the amalgamation of the cells, don't go and process it there. They create a condition that condition allows any fields which fits into the liver, which decided by the liver of the mother, is manifested in it. And then that allows it to grow because it attracts fields. It's the same in the universe. To wait for the fields to come, the womb of the galaxy creates a condition that this place can accommodate something. And there is a soul for it, or a field energy which is available to that, the strength of filling the wish within the process. Very few, if any, stars or systems ever been created by the interaction of the fields on their own. In a way, you're the seed, they drop you in, and then it grows, you get a plant. The soul of the man is that seed. And they given the strength in a given position in the universe, then it nourishes because it can absorb. Once you germinate the first seed, the rest is normal. And that seed comes grown in the village of the earth, in the, what do you call it, global warming structure of the soul. Last week, I spoke about what happened in last year with the planet Earth. How we connected directly to the sun for a fraction of time. Where, even though we had an atmospheric connection, but we lost the field strength of, or the strength hardly connected to the sun. We had the direct line. If you look at environmental changes since last April, you understand the change, the fields which are received, elevation of the what we call physical structure and the soul of this planet has changed. that continuously shielding of the atmosphere wasn't there, it was gone. And in that time, massive energy, right? That energy, which is absorbed by the body partially and partially goes to the center of the planet, now is showing itself in disaster conditions and the change of the weather. Even now we see again new structure setting. They keep on talking about global warming, but the changes in the physical structure of the earth to start marking it in a drastic way is, since last May, is because of this surge of energy which has been received by inner physical structure of the planet.
Wow.
And I said we have to wait and see. Now we see the floods, we see other things.
So the depletion of crude oil, that has contributed to these disasters because it's not shielding the fields from...
Crude oil will never diminish on this planet. Read the paper I've written time ago. As long as we have the oceans, as long as we have the moisture and the salt moisture, as long as we have what we call the salt. You know what the salt means in the world of chemistry? Is a connection of the iron, metal, to a non-metal, which what we call the salt. That's how the salts are created, what we call the salt. As long as there are metals in the ocean, there are metals in the atmosphere, and as long as we have non-metallic, calcium, whatever, in the oceans of the planet, and we have the zinc and the copper, are the, what we call, the top that the oil will finish is a fallacy.
Yeah, no, I know it will finish. But it acts as a shield, doesn't it?
No, it gets absorbed in the ocean and it goes deep in. It is the field absorption.
Is the oil, is the oil for the Earth similar to our brain matter for the brain, where it kind of diffuses the rays as we absorb them?
No, it's selective job. You see, you have certain fields which matches with the zinc in the ocean. You have certain fields which matches with the copper in the ocean. If the field strength and the energy matches with the iron, you create the first cycle of life, which can have what we call blood circulation. Yeah, and we see this. We see that in the east of Atlantic, and we see it in North China Sea. These are the two bedrocks of life on this planet, which is iron-based.
Really?
So it's very simple. We have huge, I've explained this in other teachings years ago, the Central Sahara or desert in Central Africa, with the annual winds which blows the iron dust over Congo and into the Atlantic, and with the right combination of the salinity of the Atlantic, creates that what you do in your boxes, in your what do you call it, CO2 production boxes and the rest of it. They create instant condition of the protein, then it starts with connection to the calcium in the ocean, the cycle of life. We have the same thing in North China Sea, because we have a mountain range which is full with iron. In annual corrosion, this iron gets into the ocean and leads to the creation. That's why we have a huge life presence in east coast of Africa, and this leads to the next generation of what we call the weather disturbances and hurricanes and the rest of it, which is partly connected to this. And if you understand this, then you understand there is never ever, as long as the deserts and North China Sea iron wall exists, there shall never be shortage of oil on this planet. Impossibilities. They came up with this fossil fuel and everybody else bought it, but this is not the way oil is created on this planet. Somebody came out with a theory and everybody jumped on it because they like dinosaurs. It's the same as what we saw with the crooked guy, Stephen Hawking. The Stephen Hawking did the same, came up with this black hole theory, and he went on. And then when he received the paper, he changed his mind. There is something very important for you, knowledge seekers, in the history of the Keshe Foundation. Maybe you know, maybe you don't. When we published the book number 3, The Origin of the Universe, as you heard in the intro, was because it came to my mind when we were listening to the intro just now. The book number 3. The book number 2 was published early 2011. In 2011, in about August, we knew book number 3 is in completion. And bless his soul, Dirk Lorison said, Mehran, 2 books in 1 year is pressurizing it. You want to do 9 books. If we do 2 now, we do 2 in 13, we do 2 books in 2015. Then we cover. So book number 4 was written for 2013 and it was ready to go. Just before I escaped out of Belgium, before they attempted to kill me by the Belgian government. He was in his hand. I went to his house. I said, give me everything you have on book. He said, I've read it 3-4 times. I'm ready to do the artwork for it. I said, no, download, clean. And I sat with him. He cleaned his computer, everything else. Up to book number 4. When we released book number 3, The Origin of the Universe, we knew about May, June, the book was complete. So we applied for his, ISBN number. And we announced that because there are a lot of people wanting these books, that the book will be published in a presentation, will be released in a presentation on 21st of October in Leuven University. The knowledge seekers from Belgium took a lot of pictures. There's a lot of videos and pictures of this presentation. It's not just a talk. The connection through the Keshe Foundation, Leuven University, whatever, management or whatever, gave us a lecture room. 200-300 knowledge seekers came, more whatever, and we presented the book to public on 21st, Friday. And then suddenly, just before presentation, those who were connected to university, they told me that they are taking the signs of you presenting this book off everywhere in the campus, that people don't know where to go. So they went out showing people where the conference is. We delayed it by half an hour, whatever it took to get people. I couldn't understand why people who gave us the hall, the Leuven University, suddenly came up with this devious job. But anyway, we showed the book, The Origin of the Universe, in that conference, and it was released that day. We sold hundreds of thousands of books. A lot of knowledge is just bought there. And then we found out on the following Monday, after the weekend, why. Mr. Stephen Hawking, knowing the book is getting released on Monday, with his devious connections, asked to give a lecture. He asked the authorities in the university, I want to give a lecture in Leuven University, and they gave him 24th, 25th, 26th, he comes to Belgium, and on 25th he presents his speech. He wants to give a new talk. The title of his speech was The Origin of Universe.
Oh my God.
I give you the link. You can post it. A lot of you can go and see how devious the Belgians and Hawking are. Oh, he's dead anyway. And then you understand how these things are set up, how fallacies are changed. Stephen Hawking did nothing but, what do you call it, following Keshe Foundation. He sat with all the teachings like you from 2010. And he gathered the knowledge and he gave 2 or 3 lectures, which is a copy of the teaching of the Keshe Foundation, but he changed it to his name. I send you, I send Rick, you can post it, you can go. This is a public knowledge about Stephen Hawking giving a lecture. Rick, you can put this up, they can see. In Leuven University on the 25th. And I give you the link on the, Rick, I posted it for you. You see how devious this guy has been. One of the most devious scientists we ever knew. And if he's done this to us, imagine how many things he's stolen from other knowledge seekers around the world, other scientists. His name will be shamed too. This is on internet. I don't know if it can be published, but it's on the internet. And if you read it, open the link, it tells you Stephen Hawking giving a lecture 2015 Leuven, and I put a second link on, which he actually, title of his speech is The Origin of the Universe, the title of the book. And then we realized why Leuven University on Friday was taking all our signs off. And this is KB Leuven University talk, and the title of his speech is The Origin of the Universe. You can see the title. And this is how these misguided people who were brought up have done this around, and they created so much problem for the world of science. Why did the British bring Stephen Hawking to the front? He's dumb, he's deaf, he cannot say anything, so we can build him what we like. Because the American had the Einstein. You understand? So, and then he went to give other lectures, copy of the Keshe Foundation teaching. First of all, he took the black hole paper and he went to Dublin. He became so there because he couldn't find out. I mean, he could cover everything up. He came close to the home to give a lecture on the same title. I can do what I like. I'm a crooked bastard. And this is the way they work. And now you see in public how these people are. Stephen Hawking, wherever he came up with a new knowledge, is stole from somebody. Einstein did the same.
Really?
Yes. Einstein took a lot of knowledge from the people who said they went to discuss with him, and then he took, there's a number of things you can find out Einstein's not his.
Wow.
Look at the last 2 or 3 lectures of Stephen Hawking, and knowledge seekers go back 4 or 5 months before that lecture, listen to the Keshe Foundation teaching. The cycle of the creation in the universe, isn't it what we thought in those days?
Didn't Einstein have access to all the patents? That was part of his job, was scrutinizing patents, and so he would borrow some of his ideas through that means?
He didn't borrow, he took it from the people and he rejected the patents.
Yes.
Wow.
It would be more in the line of stealing than borrowing in that case.
Exactly like a Stephen Hawking.
Why was there no legal action taken against him?
We said the book, if you read book number 2, on the front where the creation of black hole is. We sent the book to his lawyer and his office. Cambridge was ashamed to have this coming in public. The world of science, scientists around him, he was one of the most despised people in the university. When I went to Cambridge to meet him, somebody used the word thief of Baghdad. He said there is no difference between him and what we call thief of Baghdad. Many scientists in Cambridge left because of him.
Wow.
I don't know if you know it or not, but the seat of Einstein now is held by an Iranian physicist.
That's good.
And he is now one of those what they call, they're promoting a lot about him. And it's the same right across. In the past few months, I had total by coincidence, came across a guy who said he is connected to a guy or his partner with a guy who has won a Nobel Prize, which is part of the Keshe Foundation work. And I said to the guy, this is our job and we have all the details, references. The guy's been on the website and done that, and for it he gets a Nobel Prize. We asked to meet him, and when he found out, he refused any contacts. So what the scientists do, how they put in, it has to be, what do you call it, people like this, it has to be taken with a pinch of salt. Stephen Hawking from 2004 spent all his time and life more or less around what he learned, and he found out that whatever it is, he covered himself with a shirt, but you see this is on there. The presentation of the Keshe Foundation is on 21st of October, on Friday in Leuven University. He appears on the 25th giving a lecture on the same title. You got the book and you see the title. This is from Leuven University website. The guy is a crook. The face goes with the action exactly the same. Any other question?
Could I just ask one more question, Mr. Keshe?
Yeah.
I've got quite a few here, but I'll save them till next week. My last question this week. Iran has stated it has weapons so advanced they defy physics. My question is Iran playing a psychological card to scare its adversaries, and has Iran weaponized plasma technology? If not, what technology are they using to defy physics on a military level? Thank you.
There is a video on Iranian television. Needs translation to English if you want to listen. Iran has a number of advanced technologies, and one of them is plasma technology. And they're very open about it. It's on national television. I cannot play it here to show it to you. But those who know, they know that we are one of the technologies for space. And the technologies we have across this planet by different nations, if they are put aside and used in a peaceful way, not in a harmful way, this planet will be heaven in the universe.
That's inevitable.
But there are those who don't want it to be there. There are those who see that the obstacle in them having beautiful life. The CEO of the Apple said something before he dies, a few days before he dies. And that brings home, if people, humanity understand his word, that you can take nothing with you. You can take nothing with you. And it's the way people are and how they change. And it's amazing how they use the position and the time when they need it, and how they turn their back on it when they walk, they manage to get away with it. And it's during the corona. You can take this picture off, Rick, please. During the corona, we helped many politicians. We helped diplomats. I was working more or less round the clock. Some of the knowledge seekers know, with different ambassadors, different people stuck different part of the world. We helped a lot of people.
Why have they not showed their appreciation to you for your
Let
help
me explain
by
to you.
implementing plasma science in their country?
Let me explain to you. There are two things, which is good, it's not bad. First of all, I'm Iranian. And at the moment, to be Iranian and to be scientist is a criminal offense. It's worse than being a drug trafficker. Till the America changes. And then by the time I died and this comes out, so the guy was here, we covered him, we covered everything else, but that's not irrelevant. But it goes the same way. During the corona, the head of Iran parliament security man, who was responsible for the whole of the nation's security and the parliament, member of the parliament, had a corona. He was on a deathbed. He had a few hours left. The Iranian officials approached us, and one of our knowledge seekers, he said, Mr. Keshe, we have to get to him. He's a very powerful man in Iran. He went with the ganses. I said, I stay online, because he's one of the most, this head of parliamentary security, what they call it security, whatever it is. These are very powerful people. And I said, I stay with you, you go in. He went to the room. He said, Mr. Keshe, I feel I'm getting it from you, I'm going to die. I said, just stay with him. He sat with him. He gave him the ganses and everything. And 24 hours later, he had no corona, he left. And then he became the biggest enemy of the Keshe Foundation. And our guy...
No way, really?
Yeah, yes. And our guy actually nearly died. He caught a corona from him. He had a very strong strength of it. And he went home with a young child. And he was dying in the bathroom. I stayed with him 3 days, every day. We helped to save the guy. And then when we came out, he became one of the biggest headaches for us in the parliament.
That's unbelievable.
And we have knowledge.
The
No,
ungratefulness.
No, it's the way it is. Knowledge seekers are here. I think he can identify himself. One of the top Iranian ambassadors in Africa, they got him on a plane with his son with corona. They took him into a hotel and locked him up to die. I appealed to knowledge seekers in Africa, and they went even one across the nation. They got it to the pilots, and these packages arrived at the same time, and they couldn't carry packages. The pilots took it in because they knew it was going somewhere. They took it into the cockpit, and we couldn't get to the guy in the hotel. We arranged, and it was arranged by the fire brigade, who were the only people who could approach aircraft at that time, given to the fire brigade. The Iranian officials went from the embassy to the fire brigade, took it to the ambassador. He was an ambassador for that country. He was ambassador for somebody. On Friday, he was caught with corona. They were testing the station. We saved his life. He was there. He was in a critical condition. He came out. Then we became his biggest enemy.
What?
Within 24 hours, we got him out because the Iranian government wanted him out of the scene back into Iran. This is how it works.
It doesn't make sense, though.
It
You
is
save
human.
someone's life.
It's humans. It's humans.
And they attack you.
This is the way. It's humans. It is humans. And that's why
How long do you
a lot
think
of
it's going to be? How long do you think it's going to be before there is a global change in this field strength that humans have that create humans to manifest situations like that?
At the moment, it can happen with a flick of a finger.
Then why don't you click your finger?
I said before, if we do it, it was done by him. When they do it themselves. They don't look back.
All right, then.
As I said, listen to 4 weeks ago teaching. What you heard about what I said to the Iranian government, they'll sit on the line. Every session of Keshe Foundation is listened by them thoroughly. And I gave the advantage of negotiating with Americans than going to the war to destroy the whole of Iran, clearly to the Iranian leadership. And we heard last Tuesday, that Iran changed its position. They're going to be a war. Instead of attacking all these attack Israel, blah, blah, suddenly changed. We go to nuclear negotiation. Why? Why did Iran suddenly auto-attack? Who is behind 5+1 nuclear negotiation? Keshe Foundation? Is the pressure we put up? Have you stood still how much we influence? What attacking, the guy get killed in Iran and everything else, and suddenly Ayatollah Khamenei instructs that we go for nuclear negotiation. Hello? You could step back. Why we go negotiating with Americans? We pressurize, we put new ideas, we influence, and we get our influence. And then on Thursday last week, I received in writing, your wishes has been done. What you asked from the Iranian government. I have it in writing. We influence. And when you influence, what do they have to share with Americans? Keshe Foundation technology, weapon defense. We show you what we have. Let them decide. It doesn't matter. As long as now Iran didn't get destroyed the way what the Americans were planning, you have to understand the gravity of what was setting up 3 weeks ago. All these naval forces, aircraft carriers in every direction. What would have been? 2,500 history of Iran would have gone. And all that terrible things which was planned, every power station in our region, it took us 2,500 to build this nation. Why should we lose it on one Arab guy? We are Iranian. You said, you heard, I said I changed my passport. Iran, the last stream of Iran is empty cash changes passport to American, Chinese, or another nation. Because with me goes technology, and those countries are not, as Iran has dealt with me, remote. The technology will be used against Iran. And that would not happen. We influence world of politics so directly. It's the third, fourth, fifth time we showed it. You go back 2 weeks ago, the pressure Iran's going to go, Ayatollah Khamenei has ordered. How come suddenly we go suddenly negotiating nuclear? Because we are nuclear physicists. We know the power of technology we deliver to Iran. And they know. We move, they gone. You see only 5% of the Keshe Foundation technology on the surface. And we are not the only one. There are other scientists who have the same kind of influence on their nations, like Einstein did on the Americans. He gave the okay to bomb.
Did he really?
Yes. He always said it was his biggest regret.
Oh, wow.
Read about his life story. That was in his the biggest regret. But it wasn't his regret. The history of the nuclear bomb, how American got to the atomic bomb, is stealing it from the British. They didn't have it. I'm a nuclear physicist. I know the history of the Americans, Australians, British, French were all working together in England with the Canadians to develop a nuclear, something that could stop Hitler. Americans were with them all the time. They were literally heading the group. One English secretary, who was a chemist, woman, in the meeting, being with the British head of negotiation, with all the research with the Americans, with this group of people, she said, why are you doing it the hard way? Do it the right way. And she suggested using the centrifuge, what we do in the chemistry, to separate particles. That's how centrifuge proliferation has come into the nuclear industry. This the brainchild of a lady in chemistry. I think she's from one of the universities in London. But because of the war, everybody tried to help. Whatever, she became secretary to the guy who was the head of the group of the, what do you call it, nuclear development, atomic bomb development in England. When Americans found out this, they can do it, they escaped, and they went, and within a few weeks, they made an atomic bomb. This is why the French, the Germans, the French, the British, the Canadians all have access to this nuclear, because they developed it together. Americans escaped, and they came out a few weeks later with the atomic bomb. And this is a game changer. And because of one woman, the whole history of mankind with atomics come. This is why in the new website we put, when we found atomic and nuclear, we saw devastation and destruction. With plasma, we find peace. Americans are scared to their bone if Iran shows the new space technology, weapon technology they're in hand of. And Americans
do you not think it's about time that Iran did that?
One day I'll tell you what Iran did with
the
Americans.
Suffering that is happening on this planet, the wars that are going on.
One day I reveal what exactly happened between Iran and America, and why has come to this point, and why we went through the revolution. Then we understand. You got to, let me explain to you something. The future Queen of England, she's very young at the moment. At this young age, hasn't reached even teenage, she's worth 3.9 billion. It means for next 150 years, 200 years, this girl is learned how to steal from the rest to become the richest and hold on to what she's given. The queen who died, she gave all the crown jewels, all the personal jewelry of hers, worth over 100 million, to this single girl, to the future Queen of England. Yes.
They said that the crown jewels and stuff were buried with her.
Nope. All her personal jewels have been given to this young girl, future queen.
Wow.
Yep, it's 130 million, roughly. It's personal asset, it's not a national asset. And then there are people who from now are set to look after this future queen to come. She most probably become a queen in late 40s, 50s, if that, maybe 60s. And the people work in that structure for next time. When she comes into power, the already next generation of abuse of nations are set.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
That's how it's worked for past 2,000 years.
The change is here. It's not going to happen. I bet my soul on that.
You got to realize all the European royal families are still holding to their assets and nations before they became non-royal.
What do you mean they became non-royal?
A lot of European countries don't have king and queens anymore. They're democracy.
Oh, right, yeah.
But
yeah.
the royal families held on to all the assets.
Mm.
Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Dimitri. We have 3 hands up here, and I think the first one was Nick. Nick, could you go ahead, please? Then we have Dean and Marinez.
Yes, can you hear me, Rick?
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead.
My name is Nick V from Sydney, Australia, and I'd just like to make a testimony of the 24th transmutation test last month.
Hi Nick, how are you?
Yeah, hello, Mr. Keshe. Good,
Are
yourself?
you sure you want to go out with this?
Well, I was going to say it last week, but I thought I'd wait another 7 days just to make sure and make an honest assessment of it, an opinion.
Okay.
Would you like me to tell it, or?
Go ahead. We know the situation, and thanks God for that. Go ahead.
No worries. So what happened, I did the transmutation test on the 24th, and I actually had a feeling that I was drawn to it, to be honest. Now, I did have a medical condition the last 2 months where I was really bleeding a lot internally. So when I went to the restroom, it was very, very heavy. And this happened I started bleeding internally about 4 years ago. But it just was on and off. And now I've had a lot of hits, accidents in my life. So I've always soldiered on, and really just try to exercise myself and eat properly and just try to see if it goes. But I know 2 years ago when I went to the Manchester, London, the Plasma Space Traveller group, and I went on the headphones, the Iranian units, cosmic ray units. I know Mr. Keshe called the team, and he said, please give me a graph of what happens when they're on the units. Now, when my graph came, Mr. Keshe told me a bit about it, and he actually noticed something. He said, do you have cancer? And I said, well, I'm not sure, Mr. Keshe, but I do have something wrong with me. And I don't know if you remember that, but that's what you told me from the graphs, from those cosmic ray Iranian units that you got. And so what happened, I kept on, every now and then the bleeding will start and stop. But for some reason, the last 2 months, it was really, really bad. And all the signs turned out, when I read about the signs that I had in that, it was colon cancer. So what happened, I said to myself, well, it is what it is, and I knew it was pretty bad. So I said to myself, I'll go as long as I can with it, and then if I need hospitalization at the end and whatever happens, I'll do it. But I was hoping it will go. So 1 month, full on bleeding. There was no really pain, but it was just every time going to the restroom was just a real lot of blood. Second month, the same thing. And then that's when the transmutation test on the 24th happened. So I said to myself, 1 more month, if it happens, then I'll go and I'll have to go in. So but I remember just before the 1 week before the transmutation test, I was getting very tired. So I was more tired than usual. So I knew the bleeding I was losing a lot of blood. Anyway, I did the transmutation test. So I think it was about the second hour, I felt myself just expand, like blow up and just expand, but it stayed there. And I can't remember how long I was there for, but it felt like I was there maybe 5 minutes, maybe more. And then the test ended in that. But what happened, I felt good. I went to sleep. When I woke up in this next morning, usual, the bleeding completely stopped. And I was thinking, first time in 2 months, maybe I was thinking, is it the transmutation test? Is it, this? And so the second day, third day, fourth day, nothing at all. Now it's been 12 days. My bleeding is completely stopped, like a miracle. Now, the next day when I woke up too, I was really energized and really happy. There was no bleeding for the next 3 days. Really, really happy, really energized, and really, really positive about, like, it was like a big breakthrough for me. I knew something about that test and how I expanded. To me, it felt like my soul expanded, and I was inside it. So because I was inside it, my soul was bringing everything into perfection. But my soul like gave me more time. It's like I needed more time. My soul needed more time on earth to learn. So I'm not sure if it's completely gone or whatever. I had the cancer, but there's no blood at all. I feel perfect condition, very healthy. I've been going to the gym, and I'm actually doing more at the gym than what I was doing before. And yeah, I just like to say thank you, Mr. Keshe. That was a miracle for me. And yeah, the last few months, it's been really hard. I've been going through a lot, and having to deal with that, it was pretty messy. But I was amazed at how your technology works, and to hear it is a different thing, but to go through it and then to witness it and to feel it, and even when I go to the restroom now, there's still no blood, and I'm still amazed, to be honest, even though it's 12 days later. So thank you very much, Mr. Keshe, for that.
You're welcome. I hope you find peace with it. And that's all that matters.
Okay. I understand.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
As you said, when I saw your graph in Manchester, it was clear you have a cancer. But we don't promote these kind of things even though it's there. But as I said,
you told me in a way, said, you actually said, do you have cancer, You said it that way.
Yeah, because we see things on the graphs when you work with it so long, you see things you understand. And as you explained with the expansion of the soul, you reach to repair the body the way the body wants to be, the way the structure is going to be. And this is we have proof of it. And you got to understand, on the 24th, we changed the system to what is now, and that's what we said, to expand the body to cover the physicality.
Okay.
Up to now, in transmutations, we always dealt with the soul. For the first time, we brought in the dimension of physicality into play by addition of new, what they call a positioning structure. And we expect to see this right across the world. This is why now the Wellness Center in Germany is running these tests, that if it is, we can help. But you have to be open to it, to accept it, to be there. I wish you all the best. And I hope it brings you peace.
Yeah, well, Mr. Keshe, honestly, for 2 months, I was really bleeding a lot. And I was not in any pain, but just seeing it and that, it makes you worry. And I was still doing things, like normal things and that, but to do that transmutation test, and the next day just stop. I was blown away. I was just for once. I think, oh, maybe don't, you know. I was thinking to myself, oh, maybe it's just coincidence. But then the next day, nothing, and 12 days straight. Then, you know, then I realized the expansion and that how I was in the middle of my soul, brought everything back to where my soul wanted it to give me more time. So, and
this is what always we said when the man understands this whole expanding in all dimensions, not just going through your head, but expanding through physicality. It brings everything into balance, and you're one of the prime examples of it. But it's a development in technology now. As we said, the German Center is ready for this. Dr. Kern and the people who work with him will use this knowledge to help and to bring more support to those who want to support themselves.
Yeah, and it was amazing. It's I feel really good. My energy level and my confidence, it's really lifted me up. So, and I feel really balanced inside. And not only that, a couple of days later, I actually did the wellness program. It just came up by coincidence. So I did that too. And I feel really good when I did that. It even balanced me more out. And
did you do that under the insurance policy, the wellness policy agreement? The second one.
Yeah, the wellness. I'm not sure. I did it with Dr. Kern.
Yeah, but it's part of the contract. You have 2 times a year to do the session.
That's right. Exactly right, yes.
Yeah, this is to guarantee wellness with the system. This is knowledge seekers who don't know or know. Keshe Foundations provides these policies that 2 times a year you join a session for these kind of conditions that you bring back. It's just that leveling everything inside.
And that's what I felt. I felt really balanced inside and in harmony once I finished that. And I was very lucky they both came together. Like I did the 24th, my bleeding completely stopped. And then a few days later, I was just very lucky that came in. Mr. Kern said, oh, you're ready for that. And that came in. And I've just been really, really good, in perfect condition. Perfect. My health is perfect. Well, I feel it's perfect anyway.
Thank you very much. I hope you stay that way.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
That's a live testimonial. I have to explain that the new Keshe Foundation technology expansion of knowledge is in line with what we said, that when you expand the soul in dimension of physicality, it's the job of the soul to feed and to put the physicality balance in position that the soul is happy with. And we've seen this is not, we try to keep away from these things and publicity or bring it out, but when individuals like explain themselves is the biggest testimonial for what it is and how technology is developed. Thank you very much. If you listen to what Nick said 2 years ago, what I told him in Manchester, and if you remember in 2014 in the Sensano, I saw the behavior of the guy that said he's here to kill me. Again by the graphs. Then you understand, once man become knowledgeable how to understand the terms of use of these systems, understand how to interpret, you're more or less 100% on target. And you can, in a way, judge it yourself. And what will be, it'll be, it shall be. And it comes through the soul. It comes through the understanding, inner understanding inside. But you got to understand, the system is in Germany and Nick is in Australia, 10,000 miles away. and only using a headset. The type of evolution in science and technology has come. And it's getting better because we understand more of it. And our team have to understand most of it, that the knowledge can expand. And we're seeing this in many, many directions, and the new change in the structure of the system should give this kind of results to us all the time. Now we're supporting the soul and the physicality, and interesting, the day we did the change has brought the change. And the feeling that your soul has done the repair, this is where you have to believe. It's the soul who feeds me. What should I kill? I need the energy. Why should I kill for it? I'm in danger physically inside. I've done damage. Why should I do it? The body repairs itself. Thank you very much. Any other question?
I might mention that there's the 94th public meeting for testimonials coming up on, what is the date again? Just let me check here. The 9th, Monday the 9th, coming up. And that starts at the 8 p.m. Central European time. And that's a great way for people to unveil some of their testimonials of the plasma technology, and in a way, by sharing that experience, it's a way of paying back for receiving that technology and experience as well. So highly recommended if somebody has, it can be a small thing that's occurred, some insights, or it can be some major transmutation or transformation that's occurred. And so that's the public meeting for testimonials on Monday, September 9th. Okay. Now we have some more questions here, and we have a hand up with, see, Miranez is the last hand up at this point. Go ahead, Miranez. And thank you, Nick. I'll close your microphone there now.
Keshe, good morning.
Sorry. There we go. We hear you now, Miranez. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. Well, my question is, well, you said that Earth has a soul. So it has an energy center. Does Earth has emotional fields or something like humans, or
Yes.
something with same values of wrong?
Of course it has. If you exist, you have to have a central control which collectively controls everything. And of course it does. The same as the sun does. We call it the soul, or scientifically is the central control that dictates everything else. We dictate where our arm is, where our leg is. We dictate where we want to go. The earth decides on its own direction and dimension. How we have now become, we call our behavior psychosomatic. We do such a thing as this is, what do you call it, Alzheimer's. We do something else. This is Parkinson. We do behave something else. You're autistic. But because it's repetition of doing the same, Earth is the same. Creates hurricane. We call it the earthquake condition. We call it earthquakes. It doesn't like it. It shakes and creates tantrums. We call it the earthquakes and the rest of it. But in a way, yes, It has a control. It controls, as its arm strength, the position of its moon. It has to have a understanding of it. We are so physical, we don't want to understand. If you look at it, the best one is the sun. It has different organs, different parts, to different functions, and controls them where they need to be and how to move them, how to replace them. It takes us 28 days to change the cell of the skin, because it has to be. It takes, what do you call it, the sun, so many billion years for the planet, which is on the outer boundary, as it does functions, everything else, to come back and recycle and go back out again. And it does it with precision. We only look at the dimension of what we would like to, and then, what do you call it, in one frame. But and then we look at everything else without attachment to understanding there is a process behind it, there's an emotion behind it. And this is what the key position is, the emotion.
Exactly. And does it get affected by the, for example, sufferings and injustice on Earth?
It cannot, it's the cause of it. It's the cause of it. One of my wishes, one of my hopes is, and I'm watching it, what was downloaded, what was received by Earth last year in a direct contact, up to now is pushing it away. That cuddle, that kiss, that connection for a short time had certain strength, because don't forget, the atmosphere of the Earth still managed to handle the lower strings or other strings which was covering. In that period of time, even though it was handling it, couldn't handle the strong direct, which it literally came through. And when you receive that kind of energy, it has effects. Has it changed the psychology of the man, which we will see in the next 10, 20 years, 30 years? Has it changed the environment, this download of huge energy? The biggest thing which we have to watch, which I think is the major effect of it, within the next 200 to 500 years, we should see repositioning of the Earth. In a way, I explain to you very easy, scientifically. You get a magnet and stick it on a metal and feel the strength of it. Take the magnet away and put it in the hot water, or put it in a, fire it, get a torch and fire at it for a few minutes. And try to put that magnet back on the same metal. You see it doesn't attach, it's gone, it's lost its power. Now, put the magnet back in one of these magnet machines and increase the voltage to 3000 volts, for example. I don't know if you know how they make magnet. And take that piece out again and stick it on the same metal. You see that the strength of it is much harder, much stronger than what you had originally, because it has been changed, more aligned fields. And so it's received more energy than what it had, even it lost some of it. It's exactly what happened to the Earth. We have received additional energy. Additional energy in Keshe Foundation terminology, magnetic fields in motion. We have received huge amount of magnetic fields from the Earth, directly absorbed in the polar system of the Earth, on the north. Which means the filtering has changed. If it's the south, absorption changes. If it's the north, it's filtering which changes. So how much energy has actually gone in and how much the filtering energy has changed? Would that affect what we've seen, the environmental immediate outside, we see changes. We clearly see changes due to this effect. But world of science is not aware of it. If you knowledge seekers start going, ticking back, what things has happened since May of last year, April of last year, then you see things are different. The energy, internal energy has changed. The amount of energy Earth releases from North Pole has changed. This forces the South to pull more. This forces the internal structure to release more to compensate for what is coming too. So this is going to have an effect on us, 100%, 100%. The Earth condition will change because of this rapid, strong, what you call fields which we received. And this is just coincidental. Just coincidental.
Yes. And there's a saying that at the Judgment Day, at the end of the time, symbolically, at this day there would be the horrible earthquakes which shattered the mountains and things like that. And does it have to do with the behavior of humans regarding humans, animals, etc.?
Yes, it will change. It will change a lot of things. It will change a lot of things. But then, what does this new dimension will bring a change of position. With that change of position, the rest of the satellites of the, what do you call it? The solar system have to adjust themselves to it. It will have a profound effect. Yes, it does.
So we have to wait for the harsh days in front of us?
Why harsh days but not beautiful days?
No, before it changes to beautiful.
No, not really. Look at the, you see, whatever happens, we have to compensate. Whatever happens. One of the most important things for me to watch with this is, would the degree of the angle of the Earth in next 100, 200 years changes more back to the center than flipping towards the 90 degrees. This could be one of the effects of this encounter. And with that, we will see changes in the equatorial line of the Earth.
Okay.
We see the changes. I was explaining this recently to someone. Let me explain. Let me see if I have the picture, because this was part of another discussion. I have to check something. If I have the picture, you will understand even how our deserts are, and if this line has changed because of the interaction. This will create a change for us, and would that bring new energies that we don't need to kill for, or to be part of to kill for? Let me, yes, I have found the picture. This was something I was discussing with one of the knowledge seekers, and then you will understand what it means. Let me see, I have to share photo. Share photo. Because our world of science, our scientists don't understand, then you would understand a lot of things. This picture was made very recently for educational purposes, for our knowledge. This is the what do you call it? The Sahara pattern of this planet. You got to understand, if you take Australia and put it back in where it should be. If it's just on the side of the west of what they call east of New York, into that gap. If you take Australia, the whole of the continent, and literally shift it up to where it is, take it across the Indian Ocean and fit it into the side of the New York, and then bring the planetary system together, you see that Sahara part sits as part of this alignment. And then you understand exactly where it comes from. But this Sahara, what you call desert line, why is it there? If you put America, what you call Australia into America, you see it's an extension of the African extension. It's part of that extension. In a way, I cannot draw a line on it. I wish I could. Then the geographical pictures they show us is so wrong. Put this in the angle of the inclination of the planet Earth, which gives us the 4 seasons, in an angle shape, then you see this. The line of the deserts of the planet Earth is in line with the inclination angle of the Earth. This is where the field transfer is strong in the central line, where we have the circulation of the fields inwards. In fact, if I could tilt this this picture in line with the what we call the planetary line of the inclination, you see it's parallel, and it rides exactly on the equator line. Then you understand this, what we received as energy, what effect is going to have on this line. See the countries it passes: Saudi Arabia, Africa, the central line of the African continent desert. And you see it passes, if I expand it, it passes Middle East. Haven't we seen huge rains in Dubai? Haven't we seen the snow in Saudi? Are we seeing flood in Africa today? On the Sahara line. And how come all this happened since this incident? What energy has changed inside the planetary system? And we're seeing floods in Australia. Because magnetic field strength is about the same, because it came from there. Inside, it's the same fields absorbed, doesn't matter where you are. Are what they call scientists who make these maps in such a false way they've done, gives us this problem. Creates us not to understand the true physiology and the emotion of the planet, the energy received. If I could play and put this angle of the inclination exactly the way it is, and put Australia back it should be because it came from there, stuck to it is part of it, then you understand there is a big change about to come. Doesn't matter who makes what claim. If you could, let me play a game on this and I'll tell you how. Just 1 second. Doesn't allow me to rotate it. It does not allow me to rotate the picture. If I could rotate this picture, you, let me see if you can see another job. So, then you understand, did this interaction of the Earth brought a change to us, and then it changes the emotion of the planetary system. I cannot tilt it. It's unfortunately, I cannot tilt the picture. And then you understand the whole cycle that from what we see today in the changes of the geographical changes has come since this incident. Which means the planet has received the energy, is changing its position, is changing its energy level, and where there was no rain, now there'll be a lot of rain. Because now it's moved to the equator line below the, what do you call it, above the rain line. Then we start seeing other parts which were not desert coming into the line, because we have to have this desert. This is the specific characteristics of the spherical shape plasmatic fields structure. You cannot change it. And you see, I was explaining this to one of our knowledge seekers, extending the knowledge, you will understand what I mean. If, remember this picture, where the desert is, where the desert line is, if you take this desert line, where it is, you see a heat line. We have the same structure. We see it because we have the systems, we develop the systems, and I hope the Iranian will show it to the Americans. If you look at the structure of a UFO, why do we have this conversion of the bigger dip on the top than the bottom, higher curvature? Very simple. Because we have plasma technology reactor structure inside the system, the bottom line, how we dictate it, will create that desert line, the red line I showed you. But here, with the dimension of the, because we control the bridge between the intake and the outtake, will give you the lights you see on all the UFOs in the center line which shine. This is the, on the Earth we see the equator line, we see the desert line. In the universal flight system, we handle that energy, which is, it needs to come in, is part of the process. You cannot change it. We convert it to the light you see on the side of UFOs. Why do you have that rotating light all the time? Why is it at the time where it is a bend? So we know and we understand it. Our scientists are not knowledgeable, they don't understand. But when you make a physical system, flight system like we do, you see this. It's the property of it. You cannot just go and tie up the two ends up. You have to allow the field flow back into the system, and that field flow creates condition of current, and that current, by using the right structure, becomes light on your central line. When you see a UFO, when they tell you show us UFOs, for me as a man of the space, I know exactly which one is fake. And on Earth, our planetary system, our, what do you call it, continents are shown that way. Actually, our continents are this way. It's a inclination to the line of the inclination of the planet, which creates a four season. This is all rubbish. And we know that is correct because we have a system, we build a system, we know the system. They talk about theory, we talk about the facts because we have this. And you cannot speak about it unless you build it, you have it, then you can talk about it. Then even you understand, look at all the UFO pictures. And then this is one of the criterion of it, not all of it. This is not that you can make a copy of it and put it there. And people like this Romanian, Mexican, American pattern they put in, they can't get it wrong, and because the guy doesn't even understand the principle of it. But if you understand, then you see, does the emotion of the sun transfers to earth, and what it's going to do? The mother has kissed the child. Now we see the love of the child has energized the planet. One of the things we see with this last year, what I call the kiss of the mother, is that we have moved slightly away from the sun. Because the energy of the center magnets got stronger, so the distance has changed. And change of distance creates new environmental condition. Nothing to do with the global warming. Our scientists don't understand the science of creation, then they come up with any rubbish they like. This is no difference between the structure of the UFO and the structure of the universal systems. I mean, all have the same problem on the equator line. You don't see it on the planetary system, which are vertical, because that stays on that line. That pattern stays. You look at all the planetary system, they don't have that inclination. So everywhere is the same. That inclination of the planet Earth has created 4 seasons, and so is vulnerable to changes. And when you get charged, is what I told you, you get the magnet and put it in at 3000 and put it back and say, oh, it's stronger than before, I can't now pull it off the metal. Now this is what happened, we received the charge. Law of the physics of the plasma, the stronger always gives to the weaker. We are the weaker, we are a minute structure, and we received a huge amount. We were lucky that we were not pushed out of our orbit of the sun by hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Or inside is handling it to keep the position, and it brings the changes. This new phenomenon we've seen with Mecca snow, with Dubai rains, with the floods in North Africa, with the Sahara Desert, problems in Australia and the others, nothing to do with global warming whatsoever. And then because our scientists are not collective scientists, they don't see the whole holistic structure of the work of the planet, the universe and everything else. I do, I come from it, it's my birthright. We see it. We copy it in the system, we see it. When you change position of going through a plasma, you have to feed. Our education is wrong. The way man has been educated by illiterate people like Stephen Hawking and Einstein does not allow man to think correct. The process is very simple. You rotate on your axis, you have homogeneous condition. This creates different kind of life. It doesn't mean it's lifeless. If you change the position of the angle of the planet directly the other way, you see it totally. That planetary system work this way. It creates a specific kind of intelligence. When you put the system like Earth this way, then you get what we have. And now we received energy. This angle has changed. And this is what, if you remember last week, I told you, I hold my heart into what happened. This is a present kind. We think it has moved to this direction, where this is the, what you call the 100% position, vertical position. When you change that, when you received energy, that's why I gave you the example of the magnets and the magnet machine. We will see these changes. Nothing to do with global. But people who have no knowledge now say, oh, global warming has brought this. Did you listen? Rick, can you go back on the condition of the connection of the Earth magnetic field? I think it's April the 13th of 2023, if I'm correct. Or is it May 23? Go on the internet, bring it back and see what the scientists say, what happened to Earth.
Yeah, I do have some other pictures here from an interesting article about the cosmic rays and the interaction with the Earth's magnetosphere. And they show a diagram of the Earth and the continents and the magnetic field. Let me get that up so I can.
Yeah, but go stick to, let's
okay.
do what I'm trying to explain. Go and see what happened when the Earth magnetic field and Sun connected, unified. We received a huge energy. Our scientists don't understand this. They're ignorant to it, and they come with everything else. Maybe this has solved the global warming problem, which they talk about, the CO2. This is not having, we call it, the Indians always say, Ni Hakim Khatarjan. Half a doctor is always a problem. Our scientists are so specialized, they see their own tip of their own nose. They don't see the whole creation. And then you see how the magma reached the planet, how that strong magma blew the magnetic field protection of the Earth from the higher level, and that fed the planet Earth. The pictures, I don't know, you don't cross the line of claims that is not authorized to use, Rick. Be careful in what pictures we use, please. We don't
it should be fine with NASA's okay with sharing their images usually, so it shouldn't be a problem there.
Yeah, so in that magma blow up in early, what do you call it, spring of last year, has brought a new condition. We understand it. Now they're reporting massive rains in the desert of North Africa. Yes, was expected. We saw it in Dubai last year, flooded the city. And somebody claims, I made it and I created it. Hot air. Look at the Saudi. How come they have snow in Mecca? The condition to absorption of huge field from magma of the sun early last year will bring changes. I'm watching it. It's charged. It has to react. It's a magnetic field. And this brings new conditions. We have to monitor. And what happens in Australian desert, it'll be in line with what happens to the rest of the, what do you call it, desert line of the planet Earth, because it comes from there. It's confirmation that Australia was attached to that part of the continent. How it disappeared, how it moved is different. Fits into position directly. And then if you bring the continents together, you see it's part of the desert equator line of the inclination of the planet.
So maybe the behavior of humans would change?
Should do.
Is it part of the plan of God?
These are the These are the realities of the physical life. You can attach it to anything you like. But when you understand it, you understand our soul is a plasma as well. And because of these changes and energy, we will change. We have to change. We already received it. Because of such a huge amount of fields which has come to us and we were rotating, we all received it. Every single living thing on this planet has been what I call magnetically elevated, put it that way. Would that bring us to become more knowledgeable? Are we ready to receive the new knowledge? Was this a coincidence? Or was it to give a helping hand for bringing that position of peace? Does the sun have a soul and wanted to create that condition that his child does not suffer anymore, and he added to it? How do you want to read to it? I can bring it to you in 1,000 different ways.
Can we say the plan of God is to have peace and service everywhere?
God never created war. It's the man who has created it for himself to show his power. It's man's weakness, not God's hand. And it depends how you influence, how you can influence, how you can be there to influence. We are in a position, we can influence our child, we're in a position we can influence our workmates, we're in influence, we can influence a nation, we have an influence, we can change what happens on this planet. But that's how and the way it is. When I made my point clear to the Iranian leadership, we do not go to war, refrain from it. Talk. I invited the Iranian leadership back to talk to the Americans. When Ayatollah Khamenei came out with it, that ready to take revenge, revenge was in the benefit of no one for Iran. We would have lost everything. 2,500 years of what I call culture would have gone. These people are, they don't care where they drop the bombs. That's on Takht Jamshid, anywhere else. We advise, we give from our soul and we touch their soul. It's not just a word. And we see, step back, everybody was waiting Iran. And now you see in the next 6 months, 12 months, how we change the situation into, as I said, Iran will open an embassy in the United States in 2025. That's our wish and our hope that we achieve.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Becoming a man of peace needs a lot of patience. A man of war can press any button anytime. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We have a couple more hands up here with Dean and Lynn. Dean, would you like to go ahead first, please?
Thank you, Rick. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Thank you for a beautiful teaching as usual. Very informative, and I'm sure many people have understood much more of the plasma. You sort of explained, as you always do, on a soul level, the questions that come to me. You already explained them before before I can ask them. So,
yeah.
So
have we ever stopped you asking questions?
No. No, because this is a human nature, Mr. Keshe. You know this, and it's not until we go into the another condition, the Universal Council and things, then the condition changes. But as a human being, based, we're always going to have these limitations, these conversations. So, can I ask? So, would with all the knowledge and everything that's been shared, and all the technology that you've given out, and we know this is from a very high source, a very high field strength, would the people that are going through the transmutations, this is a very long process. I know we're in the testing phase, and people have said this, and we're experiencing, or the knowledge seekers are experiencing many things. For humanity, to go through this? Have you just explained what's going to happen on a larger scale? Has this already taken place with this cosmic event?
What do you mean?
So people are going to be going from point A to point B. Well, you're teaching this transmutation and transportation. So you just talk about spaceships, transportation. And many times you've spoken about people will not even be able to go into the ships unless they reach a certain elevation, a certain humbleness and peacefulness. So many people will not get to experience this, or will they, with what's just happened with this cosmic event?
You think you hit the jackpot?
No, I don't.
I do what I like, and then I wait. There'll be a cosmic event, and I just jump it. There's going to be changes. There's no difference. We cannot stop this process. Let me explain to you in another way. Due to interaction of the magnetic field of the plasma of the sun on the earth, what happened? It happened exactly the same as the rain comes. When the rain comes, when you have a storm, it rains on everything, on the tree, on the cat, on the man, on the car, on the floor, on the ground, on the rabbit in the rabbit hole. Everybody gets that rain. It might be a cold rain, you freeze, maybe it energizes you from inside. It might be a warm rain and say, oh my God, what a pleasure. When we receive this extension of the energy from the sun, if you remember, we had that aurora which came all the way, they could see it and spread it down lines up to God knows where. A lot of people were witness to it. There is no difference between the aurora and the rain from the sky. This is the magnetic fields which we receive. And we all received it. Most of us who were in it, we received it. And it's not all visible. Some of it is invisible because it's an interact to create light, but it's there. So this event has rained upon all of us. And the beauty of it is because it's got the magnetic field spectrum, it rains upon even the fish in the ocean. And then it has an effect on us. It will change us. Would it elevate us? We have to see, because it's part of the structure. Would the people from Northern Hemisphere closer to the, what they call the polars devil, like in Denmark and others who were received most of it, or they were longer time in it, would they change? Would they become more aggressive? Or would they change to become more peaceful? We have to wait and see. Or was it so sustainable long that man has totally switched from peaceful to aggression? Social, physical, what they call semantic of this event will be understood maybe in 100 years. If people understand to connect it the right way. With the culture of a nation changes because they all received this, they all elevated. Or did they got rid of part they didn't want in that process? It just rained in and it took it away. This rain wasn't just visual. It wasn't just that your skin is the only rain that your skin cannot stop. It's a magnetic plasmatic and it goes right through you. You get it. No choice. And what kind of behavior this change will bring, we have to watch. We see in the physical change. I explained to you, no one ever knew this. In past half an hour, I explained to you the equator line, the desert line, and how it happens. And I showed you, you want to play, We show you the UFO, and then you see, ooh, it is that way.
Mr. Keshe, may I ask? Sorry to stop you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
There's a line of equator of the physical line they want to show, and there's a line of equator of the magnetic field. The deserts are on the equator line of magnetic field pressure, which is different. And that's why we see the deserts on that line. That's why we see everything else in the line. And this is something you cannot change. Would this change bring deviation? And the change of deviation, it means the 4 seasons become 2 seasons across this planet. We have to wait and observe the event of last April. Over a century. And don't blame everything on the global warming, because you're ignorant to understand exactly what happened.
As you said, Mr. Keshe, that's an ignorance of not having the knowledge, and you've superseded this with universal knowledge. So may I ask another question then? So as the Earth is rotating and is being pulled gravitationally towards the sun, and the sun has a certain field strength of peace, of an energy of peace. The magnetic rays from the sun, when they magnetically penetrate the Earth, it gives us warmth on a physical level, because the physicality, the rubbing together of fields creates that friction, and we feel the warmth. The emotional warmth from the sun is affected on a plasmatic level. Is humanity, are the birds and the bees, and all the souls that are present, are they receiving that emotional support system?
It's not the support, it's the reality of fact. There is something very interesting, I call it the hopping system. The planetary system ahead of us has reached closer to the sun, received a higher energy. Citizens became enlightened, understood more. Maybe like us, going through the process of maturity as we are human races today. And they matured enough that they could understand that sitting on this planet, living 10,000, 20,000 years or 1,000,000 years, we are getting sucked in. Are we going to go in, or are we all jumping the ship? And did that jumping was next step near to them was planet Earth coming in line with. And now that we are maturing, and as we're going toward the sun, we receive a higher order field strength, as it happened last year. Would we get all educated, all things, and we all become transient, and we just belong to the next planet which is coming in. When the condition and the environment is right, we hop on it. The one in front of us is desert. Would, if we get a chance to go to it, and going the one behind us, would we find civilization, buildings and everything else that it shows people used to live on this planet? Would we find life beneath the surface? That after so much, the surface heat of the sun boils it up. If we go to 100 kilometers, 20 kilometers below, the knowledge got to that point. Is there civilization which gone in instead of hopping up? Didn't this happen to man? We were mammals like a mouse, hiding everywhere from dinosaurs. One accident brought the condition now that we are in. We came out and see what is made of. Suddenly became the, from the mousy guy, it become the mouthy guy. And what is a historical event waiting for this race on this planet. Because it's inevitable. We are getting pulled into the center, getting pulled, getting closer, you get warmer, you get to see higher strength. That higher strength being a higher education, higher knowledge, higher intellect. Would that intellect then be used? Isn't maybe this is the reason we are here at this point, because the intellect of the man is that much that we can bring that? But don't forget, it's not a one-day job tomorrow. 1 million years of man, which is a fraction of nothing of the universal life. And do we hop along like a grasshopper to the next planet? When it's ready, we go. We are just waiting. Waiting for two things: the planet get ready with the water and the God knows what, and for us to get educated, understand more, that when we hop, we can start living there.
So, Mr. Keshe, the plasma of another sun that's magnetically, or no, let's say gravitationally pulling in our sun.
Always does. We are part of the game of magnetic fields, the whole of the universe is.
Who's pulling the strings?
Nobody feel the strength.
Where is the creator?
The guy who started the string is still sitting there, called God. He's still watching what he does, huh? He's sitting there, let me move this finger, see how many galaxies will hit each other. Most probably he's still playing his game. But we are part of that game, we are connected to that game.
The games that we play, Mr. Keshe.
It's a game of creation. It's not a game of man.
Mm-hmm.
And we are part of that process. We are not exclusive, we are inclusive, all of us plus all the others in this creation. But this thought can make noise, call it a voice, and they talk and they can express what they feel inside, called humans.
Just, Mr. Keshe, sorry I keep asking more questions, but I'm actually sat between three magrabs. And
God help you.
Yeah, God help me. And two of them I recently put on a glass dome. And they were handmade. It's something I bought from the internet. Handmade glass domes with a base. But as soon as I put them on, I've noticed I get very, in between them, it gets very hot. Physically hot in the body.
Did you buy this from China?
No, these systems were made by a very beautiful knowledge seeker, and knowledge seekers, I think. And but the glass, this has come from the internet, so I don't know. But the magrabs, one is from the foundation, and two of them are built from others within the foundation who have much knowledge, and they are definitely creating very beautiful fields.
Enjoy it.
Yes, thank you.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, will do.
Enjoy it, and I hope it gives you enlightenment, not just the heat.
Yeah. No. It's so, Mr. Keshe, the transmutation you spoke about on the 20th. That process, for people that have not been involved, how would they get involved so that they could be part of it at this stage even?
You just enroll. It's not exclusivity that whoever wasn't in up to now cannot join.
So it's still open to anybody.
Be open to anyone. You can join in and just join a session. These sessions will get much, much more intense in end of this year and beginning of next year. And in a more powerful way. We have a responsibility, and I accepted that responsibility, and we have to stay with it. We have to create a condition for world peace. We have to create a condition of end of wars. And it doesn't come so easy. It doesn't matter what you see on the international arena, but it's the point of change it needs to bring, and it has to be. First thing is you have to bring all these religious things to one point. And then you see 90% of the wars finishes. Then you have to bring the other 1%, which is the greed of the man, which wants to have more and create wars. And then we see the next up. And we see how human changes. I watched the life of this guy, Tesla guy, very, very with the interest. A boy who had nothing, comes from a broken home, and then suddenly becomes a scientist. Now he's become a politician dictating what other men need to do. Has no capacity of anything. And it's very interesting how these people with a few digits in the imaginary thing called the bank, now they become decision makers. We saw this with the turmoil with the other one, brought the computers, Microsoft, and now this guy. And Keshe Foundation technology will destroy this guy totally. Because we don't need to go into space with rocket. We don't need to run cars on the batteries. We don't need. Everything he's touched in the next 5 years, there'll be the end of it. I wonder how they're going to pay for these batteries to be destroyed. You see the backlash when the new technologies come out. These people have to clean up because they got the benefit of it. Chapter 11 will not help them. And they cannot stop the emergence of the new technologies. And these people from backwaters of South Africa cannot be the decision maker of which mother holds child.
So, Mr. Keshe, is the Iranian conference and what you've spoken about before, where you will get to show some of the participants some certain field applications, is this still ongoing, or is this taking
It's still ongoing. We are waiting for the permission of entry. They told us 2 weeks ago, because of the situation with the elections and the president dying. Now we are waiting for instruction. Last week they told us that. Tell us this week. Now we are waiting for it. Because we cannot go into Iran without the permission of the government. You all need visas to go in. They have to organize every detail for you to go in, and every detail safely. All we can show the system technologies. The Iranian government, Ayatollah Khamenei's office, and the Iranian military has to guarantee our safety and permission. Then we start moving. This should have been done. This accident, the guy got killed, and then the elections have delayed it. We were not expecting the president to be killed. But now we have to play their game. We have to wait till they have the new broad. This guy is bringing new dimensions into the Iranian life and politics in a beautiful way. And we have to see how much it changes. Actually, is much, much better to go to Iran now with this than it was when we announced it. Social structure has changed, brought a lot of peace to people. And we have to wait and see. We are dealing with a very knowledgeable, the most educated president, world leader at the moment today. And he's using it wisely.
How will it affect them directly, Mr. Keshe, as a physical soul? With
a lot.
Everything that's
when you receive a blessing, you're blessed.
Mm-hmm.
You see, most of these people in Iran, Ayatollahs and the rest, are cursed. If you were in Iranian culture, they are the most despised people because they brought so much hardship. Just because they want to say something. Well, couldn't we talk with Americans? Let's come in and make the nuclear together. We have a knowledge. Why do we have to go to sanction because of a knowledge? This is what we could never understand. But now we have a president who's on the verge of a lot of things. We know Ayatollah Khamenei is critically ill on a cancer list. Would he survive his term? Would he go? Would he bring the nation together? It's a lot of things, but in past 2 or 3 weeks, he's brought huge changes in. It's brought Iran back 30 years. We see how much more he can pull back, and with the negotiations, how much we can open up. The whole thing was handled the wrong way because of the beginning was promised the wrong way. If you understand the culture of the revolution, Ayatollah Khomeini guaranteed to the Americans, when he went to south of France, Americans were 100 meters away from him. They rented a house 100 meters away from his house. And there was a daily contact directly. They negotiated that if Khomeini comes, they bring this, he promised America. American organized him to Iran. When he arrived, and it's taken us 20 years to get this. This is the biggest problem we have with Americans, is what Khomeini in south of France promised the Americans, take me back in, I become a leader, you all come in with all the promises, and we open doors with Americans. And worst thing he did, he went the reverse of it, he cheated to them. This is what physically happened. And from then on, opportunists jumped in. Now this guy is taking us back to go to back position. American brought him in power and they cannot get rid of them. So Americans have to solve it themselves again with new negotiations. This is why we negotiate. We're trying to sort out what the promise lied to in the past brings back. And then why should we not share the technology? The beauty of a knowledge is when you share it. Not to make it. The most advanced scientists, technologies are locked up because somebody cheated 40 years ago in what he promised, and okay, they wanted to take what they wanted from, but it would have been totally different. Now we're trying to go back to negotiate and bring things back to some sort of normality. How many dies within the next 2 years maximum, according to the doctors? He has advanced cancer. But a nation shouldn't die with it, and it's not a monarchy. It stays as a democracy. And this is what we have. We have to keep a nation. It's the same with every other part of the world.
Healing
These people...
from within, Mr. Keshe.
Pardon?
Healing from within.
Yeah, but you have to build a nation from within, which is very hard after 50 years of everything else.
It only
After
takes
50
one,
years.
though, Mr. Keshe. It takes one man to stand and realize.
Now we have a man, let's see what he does. We give him all our support. He's the same line as us in changing the small part of this planet for 80 million. But let's see what brings, because we have another crazy guy coming up in the United States. We see what happened. They put him in prison, and then we have others, and they change and renege. This is part of the problem of world politics. Is who is going to be strongest. When we become all equal, we're all the same in it, we don't fight for it, then we see it's a different position. And this is what we strive at. To bring that point of position. Not a position. That we are all, okay, you can be billionaires, millionaires, whatever, but there is a line for everybody to live. And there's a line for everybody to have an equal term line of life.
I never understood, Mr. Keshe. I never understood that a man would need others to bow to him, or whatever it is, whatever energy transfer they require from the others. When we all know, if you're a nice person, if you just give, and it's in a loving way, and it's like a father and mother giving to the child, that this plasma creates beauty. I still find it hard why these entities, why these souls feel the need to control instead of just letting go and then having everything they could ever desire.
weakness. Weakness in character. That's all.
Yet they lead many souls, and they're responsible for those souls. And the energy transfer back.
This is a problem. When you listen to the teaching, you understand you're responsible for your soul. These people have no idea about, it's a whole fault of the churches and the mosques and the rest, that they put this thing somewhere in the air, it's there and it's nothing. They don't understand it's part of you, you nourish it. And then we'll see what people do. Today's image is what the television has made us. And a lot of new generation don't look at the television. They go on the internet. The internet's got worse because now they try to influence it. Let me explain something. Then if you understand how media has affected us, we don't think. We all know Mr. Obama as a nice guy. We had to negotiate with him because of 5+1 in Iran and the rest of it. I sat with his ambassadors and his consuls in Belgium. But how many people know that more bullets were shot, more people were killed during the time of Obama? How many Americans know that today Trump actually deported a fraction of the number of people Obama deported? Obama deported more than 3 million people during his administration. You divide 3 million by 8 years. And then divided by 365 days. Hundreds and hundreds every day were deported. But we know him as a nice guy. He created more war, he sold more arms, genocides he supported. But we know him as a nice guy. Because he's the image he gave us, the image they made around him. Now, we see with this guy, golden hair guy, he has no ethics. What will be the future? Because your nation made the guns, you have to pay for it. The money you work to pay taxes to make those guns to kill someone, that child killed in Afghanistan, you American citizens pay for it. With your children, with your diseases, with your everything else which goes wrong in your society. You choose leaders, you're responsible for it. You choose soldiers, you're responsible for it. You choose the gunman to do, you're responsible for it. It's how you bring, you perceive, and how it's made for us to see. It's the belief we have, and it's the way we do. And the way we mature our children. And it's the way we change our future with the way we understand and how we bring that change. They don't care. They really, really don't care. But once they know they are responsible for it, they will care.
Do they really not know that, Mr. Keshe, that they really don't understand that they're responsible for it? And I think that's where it comes into each one.
The problem with the world leaders, I've known many of them. I've eaten with many world political and government leaders in my lifetime, long before the Keshe Foundation. Yeltsin said, Keshe slept in more presidential suites than I have as a president of Russia, to one of my friends. He says he goes everywhere in Kazakhstan and in Russia. He's given the presidential suite, and he travels everywhere. I don't get a chance. He sleeps in more beds than I do, and he carries more things than I do. But when you speak to them, they're all the same. They only see themselves. They become self-centered. Those knowledge seekers from Sierra Leone, speak to them who know. When I went to Sierra Leone some years ago, I was a guest of the president, and I had to go to South Sierra Leone University to give a lecture. And in the chancellor's building, his private residence, there's an extension for the president, where he goes there once a year when it's a graduation time. He stays there one night. It's too far from the center, and then he goes back. Nobody stays in that apartment of president. When I went to South Sudan, I was with a Sierra Leone ambassador to EU. He was my, what do you call it? Whatever you call it, from the president. And next to the presidential suite, there's a suite for his bodyguard and the driver. We were sitting having a dinner with the chancellor, and he said, I'll take you to your suite. And I said, the ambassador is with me. He said, the ambassador sleeps in the driver's room. I said, how come? His ambassador says, President has made a call to me directly that Mr. Keshe sleeps in the bed. I sleep in the presidential suite, presidential bed. I said, it's impossible. Anyway, I stayed in the room, and I went to the driver's bodyguard's room, and I was sitting with the, what do you call it, the ambassador. He said, Mehran, he loves you so much that me as his ambassador, who's a minister in his cabinet, have to sleep in his driver room. You're so much valued by the nation. The bed doesn't change the man. Man should know what's inside. And these people lose that position and place. And this is how you should be. You should be humble enough, but these people, all these things touches them and changes them. And when it hits them, they don't know how to handle it. There's a story about Obama. When his term was finished, we saw, what do you call it, the Trump coming in. Trump brought him a gift. If you see it, he just threw the gifts in the grass of the White House in the back, directly in front of him. But when all the razzmatazz dies, that he is, his term in office was finished, every furniture was moved, it was symbolical that he comes, they welcome him and he goes. The, what do you call it, the entourage, police thing of the president was parked sitting in front of the White House. Him and Michelle Obama go down together and says, no. Your car is at the back of the two. It's one car for you there. He says it's the time when he realized he has no more power. By always being carried by the, what do you call it, military, now he was sent to the back of the queue, with just handing over the door. And they don't realize their power is short term. So they actually hit them. And Michelle Obama somewhere talks about it, that how it was us with all the bodyguards and going directly to the presidential car. Now we're told, no, there is a car in the back somewhere for you. It's there waiting. Let's move on.
Sorry, Mr. Keshe, thank you very much for opening that and explaining that. It's important. I know it's hard, but it's important that knowledge seekers and the general beings and souls that are listening come to understand these things. It's an open discussion, that transparency that we need throughout humanity. There must be many other civilizations that have gone through this and reached a certain point of, when a civilization starts to eat itself like a cancer, it starts to fold back in, like the Earth going back into the sun. It's all plasma. So it's a natural decay process, because it's started in the wrong way. The seed was never correct. The intention was set from the very outset, wasn't in line with the creation. So it created a seed, a plasma that didn't fit. And then that grows, and then everything from that seed becomes incorrect. So how do we humbly, get the seed back into a peaceful condition of balance?
I don't know. I think the only solution is the birth of daughter of Mitra, being born by the soul, not by physicality, where the physicality has no attachment to the body of the man. It's just there. You see, what is interesting, which will come to all of you who transmute, and then you understand the value of life. You are the richest man on this planet, you're the poorest man on this planet, but you manage to understand, or you come to be able to transfer your energy. On this planet, you carry billionaires and God knows what the mansions. And it's the beauty of it, that these people, when transmute, they come on the planet Zeus. We don't have these things. They might appear as a dog. They might appear as a cat. They might appear as a stone. And then they realize whatever they had positions back on Earth doesn't change anything here, has no value here. The interesting point is, when they come back, if they transmute back, would they change? This is the way we heard from our friend about his cancer. The enlightenment inside brings what the wish of the life is. Would this enlightenment comes to them that when they come to Earth, they realize they're nothing? All the possessions is nothing. Or we put everybody into transmutation. We have to have a certificate of 3 transmutation, that you go to different positions in the universe, and then you can have your wealth. And would anybody will bother about having the wealth when you see the beauty of the space? If we make it compulsory in the next few months that all the world leaders have to go through, all the richest men have gone through a transmutation, and then, as I said, in 20, we dictate where you go, we send to planet Zeus, and there you're just a dust. When they come back, would they be still the same as they are? Or they learn that they're actually nothing, all these things they do to each other? But the biggest problem is, would their soul allow to go? That's their biggest problem, not ours. Their biggest problem. Because it's the same as the UFO, what we call the spaceships. Your soul has to be pure to be accepted by the soul of the system. It's not an engine anymore to run, and you're bored and you give a ticket. It's bought by your soul, not by your pocket. Then you understand why the space is a place of peace, and man doesn't understand. There are no doors into these UFOs. You speak to our knowledge seekers who are building it, they tell you, you have no entrance. The only entrance, the only control comes through the peaceful in connection with the system. Those who are building the system, they tell you, they are in and out of it. They don't. The team working with them is in and out of it. They don't see. You bring a person with the wrong intention in that building, you will see how they get hammered with it. Then you understand the real dimension of the system. And it gives a false sense of security to our team. because they're all peaceful. When you go into the labs, oh God, there is no animosity. There's no hardship that, you know, I'm better than this. They work, they all collectively do things, and they pass. And I was there very recently, and I looked. They don't see what I see, what I look for. And I said, do they know how pure soul they carry here? Because they're literally in tons and tons of, what do you call it? Magravs and ganses and everything else. Whatever they had outside, it gets washed when they come inside. And you don't hear a mouse, but everybody does their job, and there's no position, and the position who I am is just target is to complete the system for flight, complete the technology. They're not knowledge seekers, but they're more knowledgeable than you knowledge seekers. But the soul is touched, they're there. And when I was standing next to it, I said, I wish they knew what they're doing, how they're changing the course of humanity. And they're pure souls. They haven't come there by accident. We had one rogue guy, he kicked himself out with his own direction. And when you go into the labs, they build it with the, they don't even know about the teaching. They don't even come to any of teachings. They're not knowledge seekers, but they understand the essence of what is there to be done. The only thing, if you hear, is if a screwdriver drops on the floor. Because these are not there by accident, they're there by the choice of the soul. And it's amazing, they don't understand. If you bring somebody, a stranger, outside, they will not be able to walk even to. When I tell people, don't let anybody in the lab, because I know the consequences of it. There are no doors into these spaceships. The only key is the dimension of the strength of the soul. You will understand, a lot of you will understand. And you cannot cover it up. You cannot touch it up. It has to be inside you, part of it.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Truly, thank you for the beauty.
Very
Thank you
much.
for your wonderful, beautiful soul. Really, thank you, Mr. Keshe. And for your humbleness and what you're doing for humanity and all the souls. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Very much. We got one more question, shall we call it the day after that?
Okay, well, we do have a hand up still with Lynn, so maybe we can allow them to talk. We have a number of other unanswered questions, but they can carry on till next week as usual. Lynn, can you open your microphone and go ahead there, please?
Hello, Rick. Hello, Mr. Keshe. I want to thank you for all of your inspiration. And since Rick has only given me one question to ask, I wanted to finish on something a little bit lighthearted. You tell us lots of stories, but you also very often talk about where you come from. And I would like you to relate, if you can, a story from where you come from.
Don't know anymore. I come from a very humble family back in Iran. Extremely humble. And the more I live, the more I find out how humble my parents have been and the rest of it. And I had a great pleasure to be educated in different ways by the hand of beautiful people like Zoroastrians. And they say your life gets shaped at teenage side. And my early teenage was touched by the beauty of Zoroaster. I felt the love and the sincerity of the love in going to high school, which the ethos of Mitra was taught. And then the rest of it comes when I came to England and I saw how harsh these people live. My brother, when he arrived in 1976 to London, from Heathrow Airport to the house in north of London, which is the best part of England or London, in the car says, take me back, this is a village. This is so backwards, it's ancient, I want to go home. We live in such a luxury and beauty in Iran, such old beautiful places. The buildings of and the structure of London brought him resentment why he came. And I always looked at it that way. We came from the most beautiful part of Iran, Tehran, and life of comfort, into a life where we became foreigners and everything else, and learned a lot. And he brought the process of more becoming in depth with the teaching of Mitra. And the rest of it is history. Fell in love with the most beautiful women on this planet, and unfortunately could not get married to. And then the rest is history, and then you realize why it goes this way, step by step, step by step. And then when I sat back in 50 years old, I looked back, I said, I had to happen, because otherwise I would have been ready to what I'm doing. It was part of the structure, to learn to be ready. And this is where it is today. Somebody wrote in a report last week, which brought a lot of joy reading it. We can read it to you. This is one of the most powerful organizations in the world assessing the work of the Keshe Foundation. And part of the conclusion or whatever, or discussion, was that Mr. Keshe is 66 years old, and he is more or less an old age. What happened if he's not here or become incapacitated through illness? And I said to myself, how am I going to answer this guy with what is written? And he came to one conclusion: I'll be here long after your great-great-grandchildren have gone. But he can't tell them that, because otherwise you can just answer the way, or talk to them the way they understand. So people outside at the age of 66 look at this is going to go soon, so what's going to be after next? How everything is built is going to be protected. Then it brings it to the point, have I got to the end? Or is this what they think I got to the end? But we just started. Thank you very much for today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Hopefully we meet each other next week, and those of you who want to participate on this Friday sessions of 20th, please complete it this week, because we have to organize everything in the background to get you into groups. We already have 5 and 6 groups. It's very difficult, and we don't want large groups. Otherwise we have to split it in 2 or 3 days to do it, because as we heard from Nick, it will change you. The new system is there to change you. And those of you who have a battle with cancer, write to our wellness center. As you heard from Nick, the world has changed. Remotely does not matter where you are. Thank you very much, and see you next week.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. Beautiful teaching today. It's always beautiful, but extra special, I think. Thank you, everyone, for being here for the 554th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, September 5th, 2024. Our next public teaching workshop, as I mentioned previously, is the public meeting for testimonials, and that will be on Monday the 9th. Let me just double check on that. I believe that is the correct date. Yes, Monday the 9th. It's always the second Monday of the month. And that will be the public meeting for testimonials starting at 8 p.m. Central European Summertime. Okay, well, that completes our show for today. Step 4, we'll play this Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit music version as per usual here. And again, thank you all for being here, and a big thanks to Mr. Keshe, who we give gratitude for being here at this time and place in the history of this planet. And we are fortunate to be able to hear these words. Okay, bye for now.